Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. Hello, welcome.
Yo, it's D Wood and the AP Posse. We love Jews because we're not Nazis. Oh,
I'm just getting paid for it, so that's why I'm defending.
Yeah, that's a real reason, though. That's a real reason.
Yeah, that's why I'm defending the Jews nowadays. Oh, we're live already. Yeah, hello everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. Hope everyone is having a fantastic little day. David, what's up?
Fantastic, cute little. I don't know when you said little day. It reminded me, for some reason, of that guy who painted back in the day on that TV show. Remember that guy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of that. I sure do love some cute little days.
What was his name again?
Painting with Bob Ross.
Ross, okay. Bob Ross. It's Bob Ross. Okay.
You don't remember what life was like back in the day when you had like 3 channels on a little tiny television, and that's the only thing on that isn't a soap opera. And you're a little kid, and you have to watch Bob Ross paint because there's nothing else on.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Super fun.
I don't remember anything about life. You were having debates over the weekend.
Was I? Hey, you know who's cool?
What?
Well, Aaron Ross, actually, I don't know why I've never talked to him before, and I've never seen anything by him. So I thought he was like, you're aware of this, but they're like the perpetually enraged atheists who like who are constantly enraged. So I guess he's kind of like in that direction. But anyway, the point was, we were chatting beforehand. It was super cool with me.
Yeah.
But Issa is like insanely cool. That was weird. I didn't know anything about Issa either. So I know I'm going in there to debate was Muhammad a true prophet, and Issa was super cool. He was calling the Dawa guys Dawagandists and stuff. I thought that was hilarious. It's like it is cool. It is cool that within Islam you've got the Sunnis, and I mean you've got some Sunnis who aren't crazy about some of the Dawa guys because of their antics. But then if you among the Shias and among the Sufis and so on, there are guys who like really don't like the Dawa guys.
Yeah. I had a debate with that guy Issa too, and I was kind of caught by surprise at how relaxed and cool and funny the guy actually was.
Yeah, I invited him, and I've got his contact info. But I said, hey man, anytime you want to come on and like explain, differences between like Sufi Islam and other branches and stuff like that, totally cool to have you on.
Totally not welcome. Yeah,
totally not welcome because we only agree with atheists and Christians.
Yes. We
only like atheists, Christians, and Jews over here. This is cool.
Aaron Ra, he is. I don't know. It's like when he is in a debate, he often quickly loses his patience. But normally he's a very nice guy.
He looks like See, I didn't know anything about him, so I didn't know if because like some atheists get angry and do name calling and stuff. So I was thinking how I was going to respond to that, and I was going to be like kind of playfully like, oh, until Interview with a Vampire here comes along and says this and stuff. But no, it didn't go in that direction at all. So
he is kind of a devil.
It looks like a wizard or something like that. And
he's the devil, but that's he's a nice one.
Unlike AP.
Yes, very, very much. All right. Without further ado,
Wait, so just to be clear, neither one of us has. I've seen a clip from this discussion, and you've seen like clips, but we haven't actually gone through what we're about to go through. This is like most of this is like off the cuff.
Yeah, I only watched.
I don't know what's about to be said. I saw a clip of him with the girl in the hijab, who, yeah, he apparently she's making, because I didn't even see what she said. I saw his response. She was saying something like, well, Israel is killing more Palestinians than Palestinians killed Israelis. And then he says, well, the British killed more Germans than the Germans killed the British. So does that make the British the bad guys? And she said, the British didn't bomb civilians. This is like the most, like, where do people, I agree. You should do your best not to hit civilians, but where do people get their idea of how war actually works in the world? Because the Germans were bombing the crap out of civilians. The British were bombing the crap out of civilians. They're both bombing towns and stuff like that. That's just what you have when you fly a bomber over a town and drop a ton of bombs on it. Those bombs don't know to just hit soldiers. They just don't.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, you hear smart bombs and you think, oh, that means this bomb is smart. And it goes down and it says, oh, that's a civilian. No, don't go that way. Ah, here's a soldier. He's got a uniform on. Ew, boom.
Wait, so bombs actually kill people? That's very strange.
Yeah, well,
anyway, you're ruining it, man. You're taking away from all the content that we are supposed to watch. Let's go watch it, and then we can comment on it.
Hey, this thing's only 40 minutes long. Is that the whole thing?
Yeah.
Wait, he was at the Oxford Union and only went 40 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see what happens.
Let's watch this.
Very quick member in the middle. Yes. Yeah. Let's see. Would you like to
come forth? Let's see.
Can you find the sliding fence that way? Face that way. Yes.
Yeah. Brava.
So Ben, your argument was predicated entirely on Hamas. But thousands of Palestinians, including hundreds of minors and children, are being held hostage by Israel without any charge, with well-documentation of abuses, including sexual abuse, which Israel's own human rights organizations have reported. Hamas did not exist for decades after Israel's creation, and they're not in the West Bank. So if you're going to be arguing about Hamas, how can we ignore that over 200 Palestinians have been killed, including over 40 children, making it the deadliest year for Palestinians in the West Bank before October 7th.
Did she just imply that Hamas is not in the West Bank?
And she's making the same point. Like Bassem Youssef does the same thing where, but there was a time before Hamas and there were still problems. And Hamas doesn't run the West Bank and there's still problems. And it's like, we know Hamas is not the only problem and not the only terrorist. It just happens to be the one that launched this attack, and they happen to be the group that seems to be most obsessed and most capable with carrying out these attacks. And so they're the main focus of the problem right now. I've not heard anyone saying that this has only ever been about Hamas, and Hamas is the only problem.
You know what's the funny thing? The Palestinian Authority, Fatah, which is the government, the authority in the West Bank, they regularly arrest their opponents, arrest people of different Palestinian groups, keep them there for questioning, torture them, do lots of things. Why don't these activists come out and say, why would the Palestinian Authority do this? Well, but there is no other group there. It's the West Bank. It's the Palestinian Authority. It's not like Hamas is there. Why would they arrest random people and then torture them and accuse them of being collaborators and opponents and all of that? It makes no sense. The whole idea that the West Bank is free from Hamas is complete nonsense. Hamas doesn't rule over the West Bank, yes, but Hamas is still active in the West Bank. They have to be because it's part of their goals. And the history of it, before Hamas, PLO was there for a long time. PFLP was there, which is a communist revolutionary group. They were very active and terroristic. DFLP was there, which is an offshoot. Palestinian Islamic Jihad was there. Lots of different groups were there, which existed long before Hamas. So it doesn't mean that everything began with Hamas. The fighting began 100 years ago almost. I mean, it began in the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. Of course, there was no Hamas back then. What kind of an argument is that?
Yeah, it's and these are just examples of. To be clear, there are all sorts of legitimate criticisms you can have. This is just a dumb one, right? It's okay. Yeah. And notice, so you have different leadership in the West Bank. It's still very problematic leadership, but it is different there. I mean, when I was in Israel, we drove. I mean, we had to go through security checkpoints and stuff, but we went to the West Bank. I went to a church in the West Bank and stuff. It is easier to get around and do things than it is in Gaza. It's less of a concern. Doesn't mean there aren't problems there, and doesn't mean that Hamas doesn't have a wing there.
Yeah, it is real. It is real. Yeah.
Making it the deadliest year for Palestinians in the West Bank before October 7th. That does not even include the killings happening now, just in 2023. So what justification do you have for that if Israel intends to, quote unquote, go after Hamas? It's killing many people, especially children, under the justification of Hamas. So what justification do you have of them targeting the West Bank, even if we were to buy anything you said, which honestly I'm questioning?
Yeah.
This is very lame.
She just cheered for that. That's one of these things where I haven't seen this. I imagine he's going to demolish this because I think I could demolish that. And Ben Shapiro is way more knowledgeable about this than I am. He's just a machine. But this is the sort of thing where the crowd who is horribly informed about what various positions are think that this is a phenomenal, you just destroyed Ben Shapiro before you even got started. And
well, to be honest, it could be that they're just clapping out of respect because somebody just spoke. Don't be so judgmental.
No, you stop being so judgmental.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Stop siding with jihadis. Stop supporting Hamas.
Yes.
Why are you supporting Hamas? Why are you stuttering?
What? They're saying my mic is low. How is my mic low? No, my mic is not low. What are you talking about?
Well, are a bunch of people saying it? Because some people say it just to distract.
Are some people saying, guys, how is the volume level? Are we equal?
Guys, are we roughly even, or does someone need to go up or down?
Are we even? Are we even? Are we even?
Are we even, Steven?
Both sound good. Sounds good. Sounds good. His mic
sounds
is
good.
fine. Sounds
okay.
Good. Sounds good.
Yeah,
okay.
I said the only problem is you're stuttering. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Liar! Oh, hang on. They're saying I'm too loud. I can actually turn mine down. So
yeah, turn it down. No,
you turn yours on.
How about no?
I turned mine down some.
Okay, awesome.
Weakling with low mic, Mirage said.
Okay.
So the casualties that have been incurred in the West Bank are prior to October 7th. Largely, there have been many since October 7th because there have been many conflagrations between the IDF and the Palestinian Authority and Islamic Jihad members in the West Bank. There's significant violence over the course of the early part of this year. There's a breakaway group from the Palestinian Authority. It's called the Lions. The Lions were a small terrorist cell, the Lions Den. They were committing acts of terror in places ranging from Jerusalem to areas of the West Bank. And the IDF was going in and making operational decisions to kill many terrorists in these areas. There are many areas in the West Bank that have been particularly—
But killing is bad. How can he just say killing? This is it's bad. Killing can't be justified.
infiltrated by terrorism. That the city of Jenin would be probably the example of the place that has been most infiltrated by terror groups. It's unfortunate, but Hamas is not the only terror group in the region. Palestinian Islamic Jihad is an excellent example of another terrorist group that has wide presence in the West Bank, more so actually than Hamas. Is a Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket, obviously, that fell on that Gaza hospital at the
Did I turn on? I made it slightly faster, but let's see.
entire world then tried to blame on Israel.
Nope,
so
that's
funny,
just how he speaks.
I normally make the videos a little bit faster, but if you make it a little slightly faster, Ben Shapiro is always way too fast.
Yeah, he sounds like the Micro Machine Man. He's like Eminem. He's like Eminem, and then Samalama Dumalama you assume I'm a human.
Yeah.
On that Gaza hospital, the entire world then tried to blame on Israel.
Okay, I'm allowed to respond, right? Okay. So if your entire argument, once again, is predicated on terror groups, what response do you have about the Great March of Return, which is a very well-documented incident where peacefully Palestinian civilians just marched to their own land that they have a right to go and return to, but they were killed?
This is such a weird idea. You have very clearly outlined rules, a barrier, which you are not supposed to cross for very clear reasons. And then the idea is, well, they marched there and they did violate those rules, but they did it peacefully. What kind of an excuse is this?
Yeah, it's weird because there are people like they obviously know some things or obviously looking things up to use, but yeah, I don't know.
The March of Return is so the people from Gaza march toward Israel, saying we have a right to return to these lands. We are now, using our right to return, and we will do it peacefully, no attacks, and this and that. There were some attacks. There was some violence, but it was mainly supposed to be a peaceful one. But they are directly violating firmly established rules, which had been there for over a decade, according to which you can't pass a certain part between these two countries, one of which is unofficial, the other is an official country. You can't get past. You can't go there because it has been plagued by terrorism, and there is a shoot on sight order. If that is the case, I mean, you can't just you can't do that anywhere. You can't just cross borders because and say, well, I didn't do anything. I was just going peacefully. I didn't have any weapons on me. Yeah, I was going through borders, and I didn't care about border control, but I didn't have weapons with me. So that's ridiculous.
And murdered in cold blood.
What year are we talking about? Which group are we talking about? I need more specificity.
I'm talking about the Great March of Return.
I know I'm asking for more specificity because I'm unaware of all the details of what you're speaking about.
So the Great March of Return.
You see, you don't know.
Instance where many Palestinians, after a tweet by a Palestinian, encouraged other Palestinians to go march peacefully back to their land.
Which land is theirs? What are we talking about?
Occupied Palestine.
Are you talking about in proper Israel? Where are we talking about? Like which areas?
We're talking on the borders of Palestine, and we're also talking about their right to return to Palestine.
There is no right to return.
Oh my gosh, she can't answer the question. He's specifically acting dumb and asking her to say which land she's talking about.
And by the way, guys, it's always good to ask for clarification. If someone's saying, this is a problem, tell me exactly what you mean here and give me some more details. Yeah, rather than jump right into a response, ask for clarification on what the person's talking about.
Yeah, but he's specifically trying to set it up because she's claiming that they somehow have a right to the land, which we'll see where it gets.
Talking about in Palestine, if you're talking about the land that is inside the 67 borders, there is no right of return to Haifa. There's no right of return to Tel Aviv. There's no right of return to West Jerusalem.
So you have to remember that there are many, many, many elders who are older than the state of Israel. You have to remember that Palestine is not a Muslim land. You are equating this to a religious conflict. It's not.
I wonder why.
Palestine.
What does this have anything to do with the topic? She's just jumping.
No idea.
What is happening?
Before it was occupied, you had Jews, Christians, and Muslims peacefully coexisting. Palestine is not a Muslim homeland. It's a land.
Oh, good. Awesome. Thank you.
That's very strange because
I'll just say thank you. Goodbye. You're right. You heard it here, folks. It's not a Muslim homeland. It's up for grabs.
It's funny because Muslims around the world say it is Islamic land and we will not give it up. So they disagree on that. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's all Muhammad flew his magic flying donkey monster to Jerusalem, so it's ours, and we get all this land.
But she's completely jumping to a different thing here. She should really learn to stay on topic and stick with the argument.
Yeah, and there's it's a twofold religious argument. I mean, you could say threefold. I mean, you could say fourfold. But you've got Muhammad flies his magic donkey there, and that supposedly has something to do with that, with him being the best, Muslims being the best people to control that land. Then you've got the fact that it was under the control of Muslims, and many Muslims believe that any land under the control of Muslims is Muslim land permanently, and you have to be in a state of constant war to get any land that you're driven off of back. Then you've got the standard, warfare against Jews, and then you've got the position that Islam is supposed to dominate the entire world, and well, that's part of the entire world, so it's all it's all Islamic.
I want to clarify for those who say Oxford has really fallen and so on. Oxford Union is actually a separate union club for people who, often for Oxford students, but also for others. It is not officially connected to Oxford University. So,
Then why is it in the name? Explain that.
so
Hey.
people who come here and speak might not necessarily be students.
Why are you stuttering? Why are you stuttering?
Why stuttering?
Yeah.
that are alive to this day are older than the state of Israel.
So are you making the argument that any population of any time, all of their descendants now have a right to go back to the place that their great-great-great-great-great-grandfathers went?
Not
And-
great-great-great-grandmother. We have grandmother.
Okay, grandmothers, grandfathers. Is that the idea that you can walk across the lines of any sovereign state and simply claim the place that you said that you had, even though you never established property rights in, say, the Jordanian West Bank, or you abandoned this place in Haifa? So your claim is that right now people get to walk across the border of a sovereign nation and simply set up shop in Haifa? This is your claim?
What was
So
that?
if you're okay,
Perfect question. It was someone yelled something, but
What did they yell?
it's a perfect question. This what this woman is saying. Hey, there are people who are old enough to have been there before the nation of Israel, and this somehow means that their grandchildren get to go in there and just take it back. And I'm guessing where he would go with this is there have been tons of Jews expelled from Muslim lands, and some of the grandparents are still around who were expelled from Muslim lands, and therefore give it back. Even though she's not granting the great, because if she had done that, then he would say, okay, then we were kicked out of, the Arabian Peninsula by Umar under commands of Muhammad.
Yeah, no, he's making a very good objection here. But the whole idea of people who are older than Israel is also a very dumb point. It is a very stupid point. First off, Israel is established very much also on land that was purchased by the Zionists, or that was given to them by the British Mandate. And the other thing is that the first Palestinian state came into existence long after Israel came into existence. So this is kind of a weird thing to jump to. Dan Noel said, Apostate Prophet, don't forget to add the whoa clip of that lady from the Destiny clip off on Islam.
What's that?
There's this one clip that I played where Destiny says some really, really harsh stuff about Muslims. And then this girl says, whoa. That's a good idea. I don't know. I'll see.
Your claim.
What did that person yell? I'm really curious.
Nation and set up shop.
Yelled whoa, like the chick from the Destiny clip.
Yeah.
Whoa. No,
Is
I
your
don't know.
claim.
That's weird.
Can't
Nobody
tell.
knows.
Inaudible. That's what it's called.
Okay, so even if we were to buy what you're saying, which is obviously not true, I encourage you to Google about the Great March of Return, which was a peaceful resistance against a wrongful occupation of Palestine. Even if you were to buy what you were
Can you just define wrongful occupation? Which part of Palestine is occupied?
You're not answering my question.
I mean, I'd like you to answer mine.
About terror groups. I gave you an example of peaceful resistance.
Yes.
I'll give you an example where people were wrong.
Notice
obviously
she
not
won't.
prepared.
She won't answer. She's not being clear. This is the stuff that works really well if you're at a pro-Palestinian rally.
What is this? Unprofessional?
No.
Phone
Leave
is
that on.
ringing?
That's my brother calling from prison, man. What do you want me to do? All right, he's gonna have to wait.
Like, go pick it up. I can handle this.
No, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, she's not engaging with the topic. You were saying this is what works.
Oh yeah, so this is the stuff that works, and then if you ask for more detail, it falls apart. Like if you're saying occupied land, you say, what do you mean? What area is occupied? And she won't want to answer because there are all these people who think that you're just talking about Gaza, and you're just talking about the West Bank and Israel being in control of these lands, and they think that's what you mean. When no, there are actually lots of people. They say this is all occupied,
Yeah.
and they have to be driven out of all of it. And this is what they mean by from the river to the sea. So, guys, this is another question. Whenever you hear occupied and occupation and right of returns, what exactly are you saying is occupied? Tell us exactly what you're saying, just to clarify.
Yeah, because
And she won't answer. She
as-
doesn't answer for any of his clarifications that he requests.
Gaza is very much as Israel left it, as you have it nowadays on a world map. It is it is the way it was in 1967, or even between 1949 and 1967, there is no occupation there. There's only a blockade. So what she's saying when she says occupied, she means sovereign Israeli land. And of course, she won't say that because that implies that Israel has no right to any of the land. And that's not how it works. Israel got the land, it was given the land, and then got more after the Arabs attacked Israel.
Shot at, including children, and you still can't answer about why that's justified.
So if again,
I keep talking about Hamas and terror groups, and you gave examples of other terror groups, even though I gave you examples of civilians who marched and
Now
were
she's gish galloping.
shot at. But even now, a few days ago, you had Palestinian people living in Israel proper, which is occupied Palestine, who are being shot at by farmers on their in their gardens and in their farms. And those people are being able to get away with shooting them with total impunity. So why is it that
that's not true. Many of those people have been arrested. They're all currently sitting in Israeli jail.
The settler that just shot at a Palestinian
Have been arrested.
She is gish galloping. She made no point at all. She is not engaging with any of the refutation, any of the follow-up questions. It's just, this is not how it works.
Yeah.
was not arrested. I encourage you to look into this.
I did look into this morning. And can I please get one answer before you leave? Because this is an interesting conversation. Which part of Israel is occupied Palestine?
All of Israel.
There we go.
There we go.
See?
Finally.
See?
See? Notice he kept asking for the clarification. And then you get it. It's all occupied. Israel needs to be wiped out.
That's the answer. That's what they're looking for. That's what they want. This is a majority opinion, by the way, and you can't argue with this opinion. But their opinion is basically that all of Israel, the entirety of Israel, is an occupation. All of it is illegitimate. All of it must be removed. I'm sorry, you lost, okay?
Yeah.
There was a conflict. There was a long history, and you lost because you were not happy with what we were given. That's it.
Islam conquers like all the way over, conquers land from out of Arabia all the way over into India and China, and all the way across northern Africa up into Europe and stuff. They lose this little spot and they cry like babies for the rest of eternity and so on. So again, I pointed out there are legitimate criticisms you can raise and so on, but you have all these people who think they're arguing for a two-state solution or something like that. And this is a standard position. No. This is not about a two-state solution. It's all occupied. So this woman is part of the group that is, it's all eternal, perpetual war until we completely drive Israel off the map. And it's like, okay, well, wait, you're the guys telling us ceasefire and you want peace and stuff like this. And you're acknowledging that it's only temporary because you want to wipe us out.
Yeah.
Kind of relevant. It's kind of relevant.
By the way, this is majority opinion among Palestinians too, and lots of people don't want to recognize that. But I showed it several times. There is the data is out there. The majority of Palestinians, both in the West Bank and Gaza, say that they will not be happy with a two-state solution. They should continue the struggle until all of the land belongs to them. This is a majority opinion. So when these people say occupied Palestine, they mean that Israel should not exist. And sorry,
and
that's not how it works.
Guys, that is Ben did a great job. I mean, whatever you happen to think about Ben, what he just did right there, very important to do in pretty much every conversation, because there are people who are just arguing for a two-state solution. There are plenty of like people on college campuses and plenty of people on, the political left and so on who are just saying, hey, you need the two-state solution and so on. So it's very clear to say, what are you talking about exactly? Because if you're talking about a two-state solution, that is a reasonable goal. You could reasonably be arguing that we need to be aiming towards that. If what you mean by occupied is it's all occupied and Israel needs to be driven off the map, it's kind of important to clarify that. Really, really important, because then you're saying, no, we don't actually want a two-state solution. We want a one-state solution. We want, and it's not Israel.
Yeah. So here is one of the researchers from the Washington Institute and the Palestinian Policy something, which is in Ramallah. So this is completely unbiased here. It's actually interesting that it fluctuates, and at some point it's almost like some reason takes over, but then it goes back again. The latest, according to 2020 survey data, 62% in the West Bank say resistance should continue until all of historic Palestine is liberated, whereas only 26% say that the two-state solution should be the end of the conflict. And in Gaza, 40% say two-state solution should be the end of the conflict. 58% say we should continue, even if we get a two-state solution, we should continue until all of it belongs to us. So this is not an uncommon position. It's actually the popular one. And it's always useful, as Ben Shapiro did, because he knows his stuff, to dig for it and to let them expose exactly what they're talking about. You can't make peace with an opponent that says that you have no idea, that you have no right to even exist in that place, that you have no right to have a country there.
There we go. So what you're calling for is the obliteration of the state of Israel, and all of this is just a cover for that. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, perfect.
And now let's
There you go.
Check out.
Bravo.
Thank you. And may I first say thank you for coming to speak with us this evening. It's a real pleasure.
This guy's nice.
I'm a theology student myself, and I was wondering, how do you reconcile your conservative political views?
Say into the microphone.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile your conservative political views with the religious values of compassion and your own Jewish faith? And your stance on the Israeli-Palestine war?
I don't see why it's uncompassionate to call for the overthrow of Hamas, a terrorist group in the Gaza Strip, which has been oppressing its people and stealing billions of dollars from its own people. Ismail Haniyeh is living in a 5-star hotel in Qatar, while his people are living in absolute misery because of a war that he initiated by killing 1,500 people inside Israel proper and then taking 233 hostages. I don't see why that's non-compassionate. It seems to me that compassion also requires that you obliterate terrorist threats to your own population.
What a weird question, right? How do you reconcile compassion with, a necessary war to end the evil?
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. If it's suppose you have, it could be a totally different situation. It could even be non-Islamic terrorists. But imagine you've got some terrorists and they're about to slaughter a bunch of people, and you say, "No, we got to kill all these terrorists." You say, "That's not very compassionate." Like, wait, they're about to kill a bunch of people. They're killing other people. It's kind of compassionate towards everyone involved if we take out the terrorists who are, about to do this bloodbath.
Okay, but what happened to your sense of compassion? Why would you want to kill the bad guys?
Yeah, you just want to kill. Why? How do you reconcile your belief in killing people with compassion? At least this guy was, didn't seem very angry.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it? Whoa, okay.
Okay, Samantha, you turn ahead.
Video is low, but you are loud, David. You are too loud. They say. I'm gonna.
Who is saying this? Wait, who is saying? I can turn mine down right now. But they're saying that. I will turn this down. Hang on. I will turn it down on mine right now. I go to audio. Turn this down. How's this? Check. I turned it down like 20%. Check. How's that? Check. Yo. Because earlier we asked and everyone said audio is fine.
Okay, I think it's okay.
Yeah, see, they're saying not loud. David is not loud. No, it sounds fine.
David is loud.
Who is saying this? You see? Your people are lying to you, and they should be banned.
David is loud.
But it's still the same guy saying it's a bit loud over and over.
Hello, Ben. It's good to see you. I've been watching you since 2015. You started my conservative journey, and
nice. Oh, this is funny. I thought it was all like pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas people, that sort of group who are going to be interacting with him, but
it's not all enemies.
Yeah.
I saw, unfortunately, you had to bring some pretty gruesome photos, and I have to say, I hope those photos aren't real, and I have my doubts because recently you posted an AI-generated image of a shark.
Oh my God!
What? That's the thing. Once you spread the myth, you can't stop it because the refutation of the myth doesn't get out to the exact same group of people. Notice it's a parallel. We talk about this in Dawa. Where like Zakir Naik can step up and say, look, this is a scientific miracle. And you can refute it and like 100% just destroy the argument. But most of the people who listen to Zakir Naik don't hear the refutation, so they just believe Zakir Naik. But the same principle always applies. If you say, "Oh, this is an AI-generated image," haha. Yeah, you can refute that later on. That can be debunked later on, but people still believe it.
Look, here's an article on France 24, the Observers. France 24 is often a very reliable source. The thing is, when it comes to attacking Israel, it is of course very popular to go with whatever narrative you find on the internet, to spread some nonsense about Israel, to accuse them of faking things, faking evidence, and so on. Jackson Hinkle is one of those Twitter accounts that started spreading this whole idea that this is an AI-generated photo, the photo of a burned baby. That's what we're talking about. They somehow argue that this is AI generated, although that was only one of the photos that were posted by the IDF or by Netanyahu's office. And here is an article for those interested. The title is, "Was this photo of a dead Israeli baby AI generated? When AI detection errors muddle public debate." And this article here goes through it and explains to everyone that this is not AI generated, that the whole idea that it is AI generated is the hoax here for all those who missed it. But of course, people will not read the article. They will rather look at these quick posts. But the article goes through all of it and then shows you that the whole idea that this is AI generated is nonsense. Even it first came to the surface because people went to this website, which is called AI or Not, and put the photo there, and it then said it is AI generated. But then later people started playing with the footage, and then it started giving different results. And the people who are in charge of this website, AI or Not, actually made a statement saying that this was a false positive, and that you can't trust their own website at the moment because it gives mixed results for different things. So no, this is not a fake image. It's not AI generated. It is a genuine photo of a burned baby. And some people then come and say, this is the actual photo. There was actually a dog. That's also complete nonsense. This dog photo was generated later by somebody who wanted to show how easy it is to put something in its place. It's ridiculous, man.
Powerful.
Infant corpse.
No, I didn't. That is a lie. That is untrue. It was not an AI photo. It was not an AI photo. It was distributed by the Israeli government and the Prime Minister of Israel. It was verified by the United States government. That fake community note that said that it was an AI-generated photo was in fact taken down by Twitter because it was a fake community note. That is unfortunately not an AI-generated photo. I wish it were. It was a baby obliterated beyond recognition because it had been burned to death.
So is it the word of the IDF in Israel versus the word of
No, actually, it's the photo. It's the actual camera footage taken by GoPro cameras by Hamas terrorists as they invaded Israel proper. I don't have to take Israel's word for it. A lot of this stuff was live streamed.
So to what extent, as you're posting to social media, are you willing to make sure the information you're posting is accurate, to not exchange the truth for giving aid to Israel?
I'm certainly.
Look at this guy. He believed that an authentic photo is an AI-generated photo. He fell for the easiest of the hoaxes here. And then he wants to confront Ben Shapiro on how he makes sure that he shares accurate information.
Yeah. This guy just spread complete nonsense, and then he's asking Ben Shapiro how he is, how he ensures he's spreading accurate information. Now, to be fair to what this young guy is saying, it is an issue that when a story is breaking and when there are people on various sides who are willing to spread misinformation, to spread lies, and to cover things up and so on, it's always possible that you see some story breaking and you go, oh, and you share it, and then later on it comes out and no, actually this was faked or something like that. So that is an ongoing issue. But I mean, pretty much everyone's going to fall for this to some extent, because if there's breaking news and you see a story and you want to share the story and so on, it could come out later on actually someone misrepresenting something, or someone shared some fake footage or something. But yeah.
And David is loud. Yeah.
Fast. And there's a lot of information flowing around. I'm doing on that one for sure. 100%. It is a lie that is an AI-generated photo. That is not true in any way, shape, or form. And it shows how it does show how we live in a very dangerous era where anybody can, I mean, this is happening on a routine basis. You're seeing, for example, some of the pictures, they're horrible pictures coming out from Gaza, and a huge number of those are, of course, absolutely real. You're also seeing people who are repurposing pictures that are taken from Syria and then saying those are happening in Gaza. Yes. So, yeah, unfortunately, there is a lot of information that's floating around that is hard to kind of lock down and verify. That picture is 100% real, unfortunately.
I sympathize with you because as AI gets more advanced, it becomes increasingly hard to discern information. So I know you bear a lot of
and I mean, this is going to be a serious problem as time goes on. Seriously, like the flow of information is going to be more and more uncertain because of that. That I agree with on a general level.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Let's go to member in the back. Yes.
I think the guy was drunk.
I actually suggested that to Aaron Ra.
What did you suggest?
I walked in there and he was drinking a beer right before the debate, and I said, "Hey, have you ever read Plato's Symposium?" And he goes, "No." And I said, "It's like where they all get drunk and they're arguing about what love is and stuff." And I said it would actually be funny. And then James from Modern Day Debaters, they're like, "James, you should do something like that where everyone has to have like 8 beers and then have a debate."
Is the member at the very back? Yep. I'll come to you after.
Hi. If Israel is justified in killing civilians because of the acts of terror committed by Hamas, why isn't Hamas justified in doing what it did? Because Israel is keeping 13,000 children. It has tried them in military courts. Since the establishment of Israel, 55,000 Palestinian homes have been bulldozed. So why isn't Hamas justified in doing what it did if we use your logic?
I'm sure Ben Shapiro will say great things, but I quickly want to point out the difference here, where Hamas goes in and directly goes after civilians, directly targets them, goes into homes and shoots people and burns families and kidnaps some. Whereas on the other hand, you have Israel firing in response after declaring war on residential areas after saying evacuate now. For weeks, by the way, evacuate because we are going to bomb.
Well, so I'm going to answer your question, then I'm going to ask you a question if you don't mind. Is that all right? So so my answer is that Israel would not be justified in killing Palestinian civilians because of the actions of terrorists. Israel would be justified in attempting to kill terrorists, and civilian casualties are a cost of war. That is just a reality of life. During World War II, there were 70,000 Brits who died during the Blitz bombing, and there were 2 million Germans who died, civilians who died during World War II. And I don't see a lot of monuments in Britain because of the 2 million civilians who died in Germany. The costs of war are brutal. They're terrible. They're horrifying. There's a vast difference in moral scope between deliberately going into a civilian area and murdering everyone you can find and trying to kill a terrorist who is deliberately hiding beneath a civilian area, hiding their rockets in civilian areas, starving their own people. There is a vast difference. Okay, so let me, now I get to ask my question if you don't mind. So my question is, do you believe that there is a moral difference between Hamas going into, for example, Kfar Aza and murdering entire families, and Israel attempting to target terrorists and accidentally hitting civilians?
Israel is effectively doing the same because Gaza is the most.
My gosh, she just won't engage with the question. This is why is this the trend? Why can't they just respond to what is being said?
And what's weird is it seems like they're not actually used to interacting with the other side, because if she had spent any time watching Ben Shapiro or anyone like Ben Shapiro, she would know this is what's going to come up in response to your question. And so the fact that she's completely unprepared for it just means she's must be living in some sort of echo chamber where these are slam dunk arguments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Most densely populated region in the world. There are 15,000 people per square mile.
So does Hamas get immunity because they're there? So Hamas gets immunity. So
Israel has killed 3,500 children in the past 3 weeks. That's more children. That's more children than have died in conflicts.
What are they clapping for? I don't even get it.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because her point there is done. He raised an important objection. Now I'd be interested in the response, because again, guys, this is a serious issue, right? Like, you've got a terrorist and he's hiding beneath a bunch of civilians? What do you do? That is a very, very morally difficult question to answer. But she's saying, hey, it's densely populated, therefore it's a different situation. And he's responding, okay, it's densely populated. Does that mean terrorists get immunity there? Does that mean any terrorist can do whatever he wants and then run into a densely populated area and he's free? He's free. There's nothing you can do about it. Is that what you're saying? What are you saying? Are you saying that? And then she just has no clue.
Yeah, yeah. And it is, by the way, known, it is proven that Hamas deliberately uses residential buildings, public buildings, hospitals, schools, UN buildings, and so on to place themselves and their weapons and their arms in order to either avoid getting hit or to cause, to accuse Israel of war crimes and to then ask for sympathy when they get hit. It's proven. It's what their own people who are captured say. It's what the spies that came out of Hamas say. It's what analysts have been saying forever. It's very well known, and we even have recent footage where during the authorities, they are questioning several Hamas terrorists, and they are saying that under the Shifa hospital, for example, and others, they have tunnels.
Around the world in each of the last 4 years.
So just to be clear, your logic is that if you're a terrorist group located in a densely populated community and you hide behind civilians, you are now immune.
Where are the children meant to go?
So you're immune. Okay. That's
Where
a
are they
violation of
meant
the
to go?
Geneva Conventions, but okay. You're now immune. Your logic is that if you're a Hamas terrorist...
Sorry, since 2005.
Yeah, the Geneva Convention says that you may not use civilian buildings or civilians, hospitals, and this and that as excuse to shelter yourself from the opponent, from the enemy.
And it's good that he gets them to clarify these things, right? Like, you've got someone saying, the occupation, this and that. He's like, wait, what exactly you're saying is occupied? And she dodges it. He asks her again, dodges it, and then she finally admits, yes, it's all occupied territory. And so now it's clarified. And so notice what this girl is saying is something that would resonate with lots of people. Hey, you're retaliating against terrorists, but it's in a densely populated area. Isn't that messed up that you're killing more civilians to get to a terrorist than someone else would? And he raises a very valid counter. Wait a minute, does that mean any terrorist just gets immunity? That any terrorist can run into a densely populated area and gets immunity? Is that what you're saying? It really sounds like that is what she's saying. Yes, you get immunity. You just, hey, you're a terrorist, run into a densely populated civilian area, free to go. Interesting stuff.
Tori Scott said the Gaza striptease. Thank you so much for adding to this conversation with such brilliance and such contribution. It's fantastic.
That's kind of funny. You should make a video called the Gaza striptease, and like you're wearing a garment made of all the dumbest arguments, and you're slowly ripping them off as Ben Shapiro's destroying them and stuff.
Yeah,
and you're doing that'd be a popular video, man.
Yeah, this is nice. Some anti-terrorism expert just began following me that I've been following for a while. This is cool. Anyway, Nudis said nothing better than having EU4 with the new DLC in the background and watching an AP stream. Of course, this is all for the fans of gaming, Paradox games.
Yeah, I have no clue what this means.
Europa Universalis 4 is the game, which is my favorite game that I played for many years. Very good. Thank you, Nudis. Hope you enjoy it. Next, Zachariah said, I think Ben Shapiro sounds like a 12-year-old. I think too, but you do too.
It kind of looks like a 12-year-old too. He looks like a little. In fact, there's a weird part. Like some people are kind of like, they'll side with him a bit more just because it's like, like your little kid brother or something like that. You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen Brett Cooper?
The girl with the Daily Wire?
Yeah,
she looks like his. She looks like his little sister. Yeah, has anyone? I noticed that too. I was like, she looks like a little, like a girl, Ben Shapiro clone.
It's so weird.
Brett Cooper.
Look at this.
Yeah, my goodness.
You say that we have never been in the same place at the same time. Either our green screening is fabulous, or we are not the same person.
Or it's AI.
Or it's AI.
Exactly.
Could be AI.
Like, I don't know. Like, did he hire this woman?
She became popular on her own and got picked up by this. But yeah, I mean, dead ringer.
But did she think like, okay, hey, I really like what she's doing, and she looks exactly like me. Let's hire her.
Yeah.
Like, is that what happened? I don't even.
Yeah, he
I don't
probably
know.
got messages and said, "Hey, you know, she looks like you if you went trans or something, or
Yeah.
like daughter or young sister or something like that."
Yeah. Yeah.
24 conflict deaths have been Palestinian. I don't see any moral equivalency there. It's clearly unjust what the IDF has been doing to the Palestinians, because there's a vast disparity between the number of Palestinians being killed and the number of Israelis.
I mean, I would
The
certainly hope that
disparity
Israel is
huge.
killing more Hamas
This isn't a
members.
conflict.
This is just such a dumb point, but Ben Shapiro makes the point already.
This isn't a conflict. This is one-sided ethnic
Okay, so-
cleansing.
Again, I'm just asking you, if based on the numbers, more Germans died than Brits in World War II, did that mean that the British were wrong in World War II? Because they did. Many more Germans died than Brits. Based on the numbers, does that mean that Britain was wrong in World War II?
Britain wasn't bombing civilians.
He doesn't even need to answer this. Like the whole audience.
You should talk to the people in Dresden, but you can't because they're dead.
There's a clear difference.
I hadn't seen that. I had seen that part of the clip right up before that. You should ask the people in Dresden, but you can't because they're dead.
I saw this part, but I just have to see it again. And his face is just amazing when she says civilians
guys,
weren't killed.
Britain bombed the crap out of Germany. They bombed the crap, and this overall issue that keeps getting brought up. Well, they're killing more. I mean, guys. I mean, take the United States. The United States, I mean, apart from wars that were actually, you know, you go back to like the Revolutionary War and stuff like that, apart from wars that are actually on U.S. soil, U.S. is always sending its military somewhere else. U.S. civilians are not nearly as involved as other people. So they're always killing more of other groups than they are of the U.S. Does that mean that you know, Nazi Germany is in the right if more of their civilians or something like that, or more of their population gets killed than the people who are at war with them? It's just a weird sort of argument that somehow makes sense in their minds. But AP, think about this. When Muhammad went after the Jews of Qurayza, how many Muslims did the Jews of Qurayza kill? Well, Muhammad went on a killing spree of everyone who'd reached puberty, except for the women who became the sex slaves. So they killed way more Jews than the Qurayza Jews had done anything to Muslims, and yet it's all justified. But notice, matter of fact, that might be a good live stream. Take the exact arguments that are being used by these guys to defend Hamas or support Palestine or whatever, and apply the exact same principle to Muhammad, and then they've just condemned Muhammad over and over again. You could make a video title like 487 different times these guys condemned Muhammad without realizing it.
Yeah. So anyone who knows about the history of World War II should probably know about the bombing of Dresden, which
it's called Dresden's Holocaust.
Yeah, which is you can see titles like the Apocalypse of Dresden and things like that. It was bombed so brutally and so heavily by the UK with the help of the US. They bombed the whole city to bits. And according to the numbers we have, it is an estimated up to 25,000 people died in the bombings. But this was considered necessary. And it is not considered a big shame and an atrocity, because this happened because of because of Nazi Germany's extremely aggressive, no capitulation, attitude, and invading the world, massacring populations. This was considered a necessity in order to stop Nazi Germany, in order to destroy, to cause as much destruction as possible. The bad thing is, of course, that Hitler was such a guy. The Nazis were such psychos. Hitler was such a psychopath that he didn't care. To him, civilians didn't matter at all. To him, the greater cause mattered more than every single civilian. So this didn't mean much to him. And yeah, that's it. Dresden's Holocaust of bombs.
And if you don't believe us, go ask them. Oh, you can't because they're dead.
Yeah. So the idea that Britain didn't kill civilians is just complete nonsense.
Because they did. Many more Germans died than Brits. Based on the numbers, does that mean that Britain was wrong in World War II?
Britain wasn't bombing civilians.
I love his face. His face.
And then there's like a slow closing of the eyes there.
Yeah, yeah.
You should talk to the people in Dresden, but you can't because they're dead.
There's a clear difference. Well, I agree that war is horrible, but this is not a just war. What Israel is doing is not a just war. There is a difference between fighting the Nazis.
So it is not a just war.
Fighting the Nazis.
It is not.
The Nazis are like Hamas are like the Nazis. So what's really the difference? I don't really see it.
No, it's just people have been out of real bloodbath wars for so long that they have no concept of what it's actually like. If you're the British and you're fighting the Germans, you do not want to invade every spot with soldiers where your soldiers are going to be killed. You believe that your soldiers are more important than the enemy. And so you tend to bomb the crap out of certain places to protect the lives of your own troops and your own people. And guess what? If you bomb the crap out of places, a lot of people are going to die, including civilians. And so anyway, it's just for some reason, all understandings of how war actually works in the real world suddenly fall apart the moment Hamas goes on a killing spree. And then all of a sudden, nope, what everyone who studies war would know about goes out the window. And you can't do anything about these terrorists as long as they run and hide behind civilians.
Yeah, I said it before. I say it again. I read both Mein Kampf and the Hamas Charter of 1988, and it's very hard for me to decide which one is more hateful toward the Jews. It's hard for me to decide which one is actually worse, and especially since Mein Kampf doesn't include any line that is remotely as horrible and as violent as Article 7 of the Hamas Charter 1988, which basically says that that Hamas will continue until, it says, Islamic resistance movement, which is Hamas, aspires to the realization of Allah's promise, no matter how long that should take. And the promise is, the Prophet, Allah bless him and grant him salvation, has said, the day of judgment will not come about until Muslims fight the Jews. When the Jews will hide behind stones and trees, the stones and trees will say, "O Muslim, servant of Allah, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him." Only the garget tree would not do that because it is one of the trees of the Jews. So their big aspiration, which they look forward to, is to eradicate the Jews. This is the Hamas Charter. Hamas are not very different from the Nazis, if you want to really go there. You could say they are even worse, but they're quite explicit in their desire to just wipe out the Jews.
But AP, Kampf is just a struggle. So, I could say, hey, going to the gym is Mein Kampf. What's yours?
Yeah, see? And incidentally, jihad also means struggle. Kampf is struggle. Jihad is struggle. It's all just, yeah.
The struggle is real.
Yeah, yeah.
The struggle is real.
The jihad is real. The Kampf is real. Yeah.
Not a just war when you fight a war against people who murder 1,500 of your civilians and take 233 of them, at last count, captive into tunnels. It is not a just war to obliterate them. Please name a just war.
Hey, Stardust. Nice to have you here. It's good that you're here.
Israel's been killing civilians for the past 75 years, and there was no headlines about it, and nobody said that the Palestinians were
Israel
justified
does not
in
purposefully kill
retaliating.
Civilians. Palestinian terrorists do.
Israel has not
If
purposefully
Israel
killed
put down its
civilians. Are
guns
you willing
tomorrow,
to
there would
stand
be
by that
if
statement?
Israel put down its guns tomorrow, there would be a second Holocaust. If the Palestinians put down their guns tomorrow, there would be a Palestinian state.
There would be.
That is the reality. And let me ask
There
you
would
this.
not be a Palestinian.
In fact, it's for some reason people look right past it when it gets brought up like it's absolutely absurd. But it's been pointed out, Hamas could end all this right now by handing over the hostages and turning themselves. It's done. It's done tonight. How is that not considered an option?
Yeah.
I mean, if the people who are supporting the Palestinian women and children and civilians are actually interested in the welfare of the Palestinian civilians, the women and the children and so on, the first thing you should be doing is saying, Hamas, hand over the hostages and turn yourselves in. Unless the civilians are just kind of a smokescreen. That's not really what you're interested in.
Yeah, yeah. Netanyahu said quite recently, very clearly, he said there will be no ceasefire until Hamas frees all of the hostages. There is no deal. There is no trading. There is nothing. They have to release the hostages, and then a ceasefire may be considered. But the goal right now, and I'm sure they will not sway from that, is to get the hostages and eradicate Hamas along the way. But of course, they won't take that, because even the Palestinian Authority, even Mahmoud Abbas, who is in charge of the Palestinian Authority who is in charge of the West Bank, even he said in the past that Hamas doesn't care about Palestinian lives. Hamas doesn't care about its own people. Hamas just wants to be Hamas. They just want to exist. They recklessly do whatever they want, and they will happily risk the lives of all of the Palestinians just so they can continue existing. That's what they are.
I'm going to ask you.
Israel has been built.
I'm going to ask you. I'm just going to ask you the last question. The same question I asked her. Which part of Palestine is occupied?
The entirety of Palestine. But
There we go.
See, there you have it. There you have it.
You are talking to people who believe that Israel needs to be wiped out. And and they pretend they're calling for peace. And what they're not is, what they're actually doing is they're pretending to seek peace and a two-state solution, all this stuff. And no, they actually want to wipe out Israel.
Maybe what he should be doing is,
and he's saying make peace with, and they're saying make peace with these people who want you wiped out. It's just a weird request. Hey, we're going to wipe you out the first chance we get, but make peace with us in the meantime until we can do that.
Yeah, that was, by the way, also Hamas after after they were elected and after they took over the Gaza Strip, they suggested a two-state solution, but it was a temporary two-state solution, and they even lined that out now in their most recent charter, where they say they will never ever give up their goal of taking all of Palestine back, but they would agree to a preliminary two-state solution. What? Who would accept that? Why would you sit down at a table and say, oh, good idea. Okay, guys, we can come to an agreement. Let us make peace. Let's recognize each other. Let's help each other. I will help you guys build your own state alongside us, and then in the future you can look into eradicating us. But
yeah, people
who would do that?
Yeah, it's a ridiculous situation. So when everyone says like two-state solution, and it's people who actually want Israel wiped out, and they mean temporary two-state solution. What they mean by temporary two-state solution is if Gaza and the West Bank are completely their own states, then Israel can't stop them. Israel can't stop people from bringing in weapons, and they're not going to blockade them and so on, because they're their own independent states. And what you really mean when you say you want a temporary two-state solution is you want to be your own state so you can be just completely armed to the teeth by Iran and so on. You don't have to smuggle in weapons anymore. They can just be arming you. The entire Muslim world can be funneling weapons to you, to where you actually stand a chance in fighting against Israel. And Israel saying, no, we don't actually want to do that. And so you've got people who actually want a two-state solution, and you've got people who want a temporary two-state solution, which is just building a bigger terrorist base.
By the way, I want to quickly show this one from earlier. So the IDF released this footage from the questioning of the Hamas terrorists to see what they say about underground tunnels. Let me remove this super chat by Cedric, which is completely unnecessary. Cedric said, "Did your opponents shake your hand, unlike Mohammed Hijab?"
I don't recall, but yeah, they were both nicer than Mohammed Hijab.
See, he doesn't even respect the opponents. He doesn't remember if they shook his hands or not.
I don't remember stuff like that.
Yeah.
What? Is this a robot?
Yeah,
I am a cyborg. I am a cyborg.
They altered the voice of the interviewer, the interrogator. Yes.
Human, tell me, give me answer to question, human.
What is the connection between the tunnels and the hospitals? He says.
Take us to your leader.
The hospitals, most of them are hidden in the hospitals. So the hospitals, most of them are hidden in the hospitals. The tunnels.
He's an actor. He's an actor. I like how they got the Israeli flag behind this dude.
She says Shifa, for example, there are underground levels.
مثلا الشفا
Shifa Hospital is one of the big hospitals that are currently brought up a lot because Israel did indeed target it. And this guy says that there are underground tunnels in Shifa Hospital.
طابق بضعه ممكن في بضعه شفا كبيرة مش صغيرة الشفا تبعها في بتخبوا
كل شغلة الإسعاف إذا هي عيادات مستشفى
استغلوها لهم
To exploit them for their use.
By the way, this is on someone who's been on one side of the on who's been on one side of the snitches get stitches type of thing. I mean, there are plenty of inmates are not going to snitch. They're not going to snitch on other people and stuff like this. And so the fact that these guys are just snitching on everything, I bet there had to have been some, unless these guys are really just soft and not as devoted to the cause as they think, which I don't think that's the issue. I think the Israelis just really know how to interrogate people to get them to just spill everything like this, because that is rough stuff.
Well, I remember from reading the book Son of Hamas by Mossab Hassan Youssef, he explained how he was interrogated when he was first arrested as a Hamas member or operative. And he had to spend weeks just in a very dark cell, often without seeing anything. And he would constantly, 24/7, there would be only one single song playing over and over and over again without ever stopping.
Oh, I saw a clip of The Walking Dead like that, where they had Daryl in a little room and they just kept playing this song over, like blasting over and over. We're on Easy Street. Right? It's like just the most annoying song ever. And they just play that constantly. That's interesting that it's actually a...
Yeah, and they basically turn their life mentally into hell, so that the people who are arrested are just say, whatever, I'll tell you whatever you want, just get me out of here, please, I'm dying inside. But of course, with guys like these, they might have done some serious beating too. I don't know.
Yeah, there was another guy who looked like he'd been messed up. He looked like he was in like real, like horrible pain while he's talking to them.
Yeah. Stardust asked which song was it. He said, so according to the book, it is a song by Leonard Cohen, who happens to be one of my favorite musicians.
That's the guy who did Hallelujah, right?
Yeah. And a song by him that goes, First We Take Manhattan. So that song was played.
That's funny they play a Jewish song.
Yeah. This song, First We Take Manhattan, was played when he was arrested non-stop on loudspeakers again and again without pause. And he was like, he got so sick of it. And later Leonard Cohen became his favorite singer. So
that's funny. I'd have been blasting, like, I don't know, Katy Perry or something like that. 24/7. One song.
Yeah.
الإسعاف إذا هي عيادات مستشفى
استغلوها لهم
عشان إيش؟
عشان انتوا بتكسبوهمش.
So they plant things under the hospital so you don't strike them. That's what he says.
وهيك يعني
بيقدروا ينقلوا كل شيء.
شو زي إيش مثلا؟
عبوات سلاح.
Explosive weapons, medical equipment, everything. They use the hospital to transfer these things.
أكل مواد طبية لهم. عشان قلت لك عشان الشفاء أمينة.
I told you Shifa is a safe place. It will not be struck. To them it is safe. That's what we know.
يعني آمن لهم. حسب علمنا يعني حسب علم.
أنا بعرف إنه مثلا سمعت حسب ما بسمع إنه مستشفى.
So yeah, this
guy looks like he's 14.
He looks like a little child. Yeah. But yeah, so for these guys, the Hamas terrorists say that they use places like the Shifa hospital to transfer weapons and to hide and do all kinds of things because they think they are safe there, or if they get hit, it will become a disaster.
Thank you once again.
The destruction of Jews.
I appreciate you expressing your full genocidal intent for the Jewish people living between the rivers.
Why is it genocidal to call for a state that is not apartheid? You can have a state where all citizens have equal rights, Jews and Muslims.
I'm sure that's going to go amazingly under the same people who are governing the Gaza Strip, where currently 0 Jews live.
The time. Can we move on to the next question, please?
Why is this chick interrupting? That was a good. They were in a good little discussion there.
Nobody actually believes that if the Palestinians were to establish their own state in the entirety of the place and wiped out Israel, they would actually establish a state where people are treated equally and where Jews can happily live. Nobody believes that.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's insane, right? The only thing that is going to satisfy a group like Hamas is if they are totally dominant over that. And it's not going to go well for Jews, and everyone's going to be subjugated. It's not going to. On what planet do they think groups like Hamas are aiming for equal rights for everybody? Who takes that serious? Who thinks that is an actual Islamic goal? Equal rights for everybody. Read 14 centuries of Islamic history. Read what Muhammad said. The goal is not equal rights for everybody. So that's the point. You can only get equal rights specifically if groups like Hamas are not in charge, period.
Yeah. There was a poll where they were asked, and Palestinians, it is incredibly unpopular among Palestinians to imagine a future where they would live together with the Jews in one state. So two-state solution is unpopular, and a state where they live together with Jews is even more unpopular. Nobody wants that. They don't want that. They would kick out the Jews. Hamas is quite clear that they want to eradicate the Jews. And under the Palestinian Authority, I just showed it recently, they actually issued directions for mosques to preach to Muslims that they will soon fight and kill the Jews. There is no way that they will treat the Jews well in such a hypothetical future, which is why they will never get peace. This is all their own doing.
Let's go to there's being remembered in the green jumper. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought I was green. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Why don't you have Daniel Hakikachu just deliver a bunch of strap-on pleasure machines to Hamas, and then they won't just want to kill anybody.
Yeah. How about find a pen pal? Find a pen pal.
How about no?
Guys, let's do some.
Hey, I actually brought up the eyes of the leather strap of the anus in my debate with
Why would you do that?
I was like, you got all these stupid sayings here. Muhammad brags about his supernatural eloquence, and then he says things like the eyes or the leather strap of the anus. I actually used it because I wanted to have it in there somewhere.
That's funny. That's good. Partial Act 70 Mir said, I don't even know why Ben Shapiro is trying to debate this. Islam has already been proven to be true by a mole on Muhammad's back, and the eyes are the leather strap of the anus. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Powerful.
That's what I say. Also, Muhammad had the sexual strength of 30 men, and this just means that Islam is true.
What's funny is like I want to actually go through the sources, just because if Muslims, there are all kinds of arguments in the Muslim sources that are so dumb that Muslims don't use them today. But there are original arguments for Muhammad that were supposed to be persuasive that even Muslims find so incredibly stupid that they don't use them today. But like, I want to put together a list of all these things, like the mole on Muhammad's back and his supernatural eloquence when he's saying the eyes are the leather strap of the anus. And one of the most common arguments in the Quran, it may be the most common. I haven't counted it up. I actually want to do the counting one day. But over and over again, he'll say to the people of the book, since I'm affirming your book, you should affirm me as a prophet, which is so insanely stupid. Because one, Muslims can't use it because they don't think Muhammad is actually affirming the Jewish scriptures and the Christian scriptures, because they think they've been corrupted. So it doesn't work like that. It would kind of refute their own argument. But also, I mean, Muslims know that. I mean, Mirza Ghulam Ahmed affirmed the Quran, so why don't you affirm Mirza Ghulam Ahmed? No Muslim on the planet would accept that argument. But Allah himself uses that argument over and over and over and over again. If a man is affirming you, you have to affirm him in response. And it's so insanely stupid, Muslims won't even use it. But this is from Allah. So anyway, the point is there's tons of arguments in Muslim sources that Muslims don't use. It'd be good to kind of like assemble them.
Absolute displeasure to see me standing. Well, it's absolute. I will get to my question, however.
Thank you for coming anyway.
My displeasure. Now, I'll repeat the question.
Is this guy 12 years old? Or what is this?
I sought to ask you. You have recently been discussing a lot about the history of the occupation of Palestine. I will call it that. I know you will oppose that, but I will call it that. The occupation of Palestine.
The whole thing, right? Just to be clear?
The entirety of Palestine.
Thank you.
Gosh, he's good at that. He's good at getting them to say what they really mean.
He's just exposing all of them right now.
Matter of fact, that would be a good video just to compile all those elements where they say what they really mean and put that together. And it's like, guys, you people in the West, you politicians and college campus students and stuff, listen to what these guys are actually saying, because you never ask them for clarification. You just say, oh, they're against occupation. Well, I'm against occupation too. What are they saying is occupied? Make them clarify that, because it's not what lots of you mean.
I'll ask a question in a little bit.
That is not my position.
Sure, and I will, but go ahead.
Anyway, so the point about the occupation of Palestine, you have released multiple videos. You have essentially made yourself the cheerleader of Israel in a lot of sort of Western media spaces. So I watched some of your videos about the conflict, and I found a number of inaccuracies. First of all, you describe in 1920, you refer to Jordan as part of Palestine historically. That has never been the case. There has never been a state of Jordan.
British Mandate Palestine, yes.
That is still not the case.
Burn.
What are you talking about, man? Everybody knows this. Mandate of Palestine, 1920. Open a map. Google Mandate of Palestine, 1920. Here. What do you see here? What do you see here?
Looks pretty big there.
What do you see here? What is this?
Yeah, looks like looks like a big chunk of land there. Look, hey, wait a minute. That's Jordan's right in the middle of that.
Yeah. This is the Jordan River. Here is Jordan. Look. This is what is nowadays Jordan. Kingdom of Jordan. This was all Mandate of Palestine. Until in the 1920s, and the actual idea was to establish, just use this to establish a Jewish state. In 1922, the British mandate clarified then that it will be split in two, and only this part will be used for a Jewish state, whereas this part will be an Arab state. That was the plan. So they were supposed to give this whole thing to the Jewish population. Only much later, in the 40s, they made concessions and decided to split this part also into among the Arab population and the Jewish population. This is very basic. What is this guy talking about?
Being part or considered part of Palestine. The only time that Jordan has been considered adjacent to Palestine is part of sort of biblical mythology, where Transjordan was a reason.
That's wildly inaccurate.
What are you talking? This guy hasn't. Just Google it, man. What?
The British mandate had a mandate over all of Palestine, and then they separated off Transjordan and handed it to the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan.
You will get your chance to reply. Let me finish. Now, the second point that you have phrased constantly and consistently, and it's quite a popular Zionist talking point, is the fact that the Arabs have rejected peace every time it was offered to them. Now, I would like, of course, there's been multiple times where peace has been offered, so let's discuss some of them. The Peel Commission. The Peel Commission entailed expelling multiple Arab families and multiple Arab communities, largely agrarian, from the land in order to create a Jewish state under a colonial authority. Now, I understand, of course, you are a Zionist, so you believe that's desirable. But for the Palestinian farmers, I can imagine they would not have enjoyed that. Number two, you mentioned that the that after 1940.
What's funny is that he's discussing all of this and he's basically arguing about solutions that were offered because the initial solution, which was in the hand of the British Mandate of Palestine, who were in charge of and ruled over the land, they could do with it whatever the hell they wanted. as bad as it may sound, but that's just how things worked. Guess what? Before that, it was part of the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire did with it whatever they wanted, whatever the hell they wanted. They didn't care about the population and their demands. And the British Mandate of Palestine gave in and started offering different solutions in cutting it down. But they were never happy with it. They were never happy with it. And the whole goal was forever to just get rid of the Zionists and take all of it.
And this is another situation where people don't understand how war works. I mean, if you look at on that map, you had British mandate, French mandate, British mandate, because you fought a war and the Ottoman Empire lost. And so you take steps to make sure that they do not go to war with you again. It's the same thing. You fought the Germans, and then what do? You split you split Berlin, and different countries control different areas of it until so that you make sure these guys do not just regroup and launch another war 15 years down the road. So these are steps taken to make sure that the same group that you just fought a war with doesn't just regroup and launch a war at you again. And somehow none of these guys understand how war works, unless Muhammad's doing it, and then it's great.
No. When the Muslims were doing it, when the Ottoman Empire was conquering and moving and repopulating whatever they want, it was all good, But when the British came and actually did things in a very, very, very nice way, then it was of course bad.
But the Ottomans never killed civilians. I couldn't even say it. I couldn't even keep a straight face for 2 seconds.
Oh, they did some really bad things, by the way.
You think?
Oh yeah, of course we have the Armenian genocide. We have,
but no civilians were killed in that genocide. AP.
Oh, okay, that's true. That's true. Very fair.
And make peace with Israel. Apart from the fact that in 1956, Israel invaded the Sinai in Egypt unprovoked, purely due to the fact that President Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal. Then you claim that
unprovoked. You have international agreements. After many wars, one side says we will make peace, and one of the conditions under which we will maintain the peace is that you will keep this channel open to us. And the other side says, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. And then later, the other side decides to say, actually, we're going to close it. And Israel then says, well, that's a reason to start a war, and then starts the war. That is not unprovoked. That's not unprovoked. This guy doesn't know what unprovoked means.
And what's crazy is you could just go back to the time of Muhammad, him saying, I had a dream or vision that these people are going to be mean to. That's justification for going to war.
Yeah.
I mean, almost anything is a justification for him going to war and subjugating you. And in fact, I mean, if you look at fight those who do not believe in Allah, that's justification for fighting someone. They don't believe in the same thing that you believe. Muhammad said, I've been commanded to fight people until they say there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. That's, hey, you not proclaiming Muhammad as a messenger of God is just justification for declaring war on you. And it's just amazing that these guys, they're condemning Muhammad left and right, not realizing it.
Yeah, Muhammad was a jerk. Everyone knows.
He's a pretty big jerk.
Yep.
Yeah, and the more I study this Muhammad, the more I don't like him.
Yeah. And I tweeted it earlier. We both know, right? Muhammad said, according to the Sunni understanding, according to the Muslim scholars, according to the Muslim history, Muhammad himself said, "I will expel the Christians and the Jews from Arabia, and will leave no one but Muslims," which is why, after Muhammad this was done, all remaining Christians and Jews were removed from Arabia.
And then they had equal rights because there were none left.
War of extermination. But if you will read any trusted and respected historian over the 1967 war, and perhaps you may even...
Like Hamas. They're the most trusted historians.
To read some of the books of Moshe Dayan about the actual conflict, where he describes that Israel actually provoked the conflict and there was no chance of the extermination of Israel. Then you claimed that the 1973 war was a war of the destruction of Israel once again, which it was not. It was actually the reclaiming of the Sinai and the Golan Heights, which Israel has illegally occupied. So you have lied multiple times. I can continue if you wish, but I would like...
What's funny is the way Ben Shapiro describes the history is how the history of the conflict and the wars are generally described by most historians. So Ben Shapiro describes it quite accurately, according to most historians. So when he accuses Ben Shapiro of lying about the history, he's basically saying that all the historians are lying, and he's telling the truth. He's here to tell us the truth.
Powerful.
Great.
I'd like to ask you the question: when you lie, do you feel shame?
Okay, so
What a child! This is just so stupid, man. This is what you came here for? To say this to him?
I would respond in kind. I would be like, when you give me, I want a yes or no answer. Yes or no. When you molest your child bride, do you support Hamas? Say something like that.
Man.
Yes or no.
Yeah.
Look at these idiots. Look at the patience.
In order for me to feel shame,
I love how Ben Shapiro is so composed in these things.
Yes, he kind of
yeah,
serenity.
Yeah. There was one incident where he totally lost his cool and became kind of, what was it? There was some British TV interview.
Yeah, he can get ticked off, and that's how you know he is really ticked off, because he's normally really cool under pressure.
Yeah.
So you know he is enraged when he starts snapping.
Yeah.
Be lying as opposed to you just being wrong about all of these things, which you are. So let me start from the very beginning of what you said. Let's try to
Why stuttering?
go through the calendar. British Mandate Palestine was ruled by the British. They carved out Transjordan in 1920, and Transjordan was made into Transjordan with the Hashemite kingdom, which, by the way, is not domestic to the actual area of Jordan. So if you're talking about a colonial outpost, Jordan would be it, since the Hashemite kingdom has nothing to do with the actual Palestine.
Is he interrupting when Ben let him talk for like 5 minutes straight?
Didn't he just say, let me speak, you can respond?
You speak. You'll respond when I say you can, because this is what we think of Jews.
Palestinian Arabs were living in Transjordan. Talking about the Peel Commission. If the idea is that there would have to be a separation of populations in order to effectuate a two-state solution, which you deny, then I was right. Of course, there was a deal on the table. The Jews accepted it. The Arabs rejected it. So you did not actually undermine my case.
Look at this. What a hypocrite, man.
This guy just made a big deal because Ben Shapiro corrected him on something. I was like, let me speak. I'm speaking. You can respond in your own time, and people applauded. And now he's here interrupting, making noises the entire time.
Looking like a dope. These stupid Nikes.
Hold on. I listened to your whole bullshit history for like 5 minutes here. So at least let me respond to it.
Oh, good response.
And you know I'm serious because I use my big boy curse words.
When Ben Shapiro curses, when he actually starts using the language, and you know that he means it.
Hold on. I listened to your whole bullshit history for like 5 minutes here. So at least let me respond to it.
I like that sort of like eye roll. He's fine.
Your entire claim is that the Arabs did not reject peace, and then in your own disquisition, you admitted that the Arabs rejected the Peel Commission plan, which was a separation between the Jews and the Arabs, which gave an extraordinary amount of land to the Arabs. The Arabs then rejected the peace partition plan proposed by the United Nations in 1947. They then proceeded to reject the Oslo Accords in 93. After that, they rejected the Wye River Accords in 98. They rejected Ehud Barak's very generous offer in 2000. They rejected Olmert's very generous offer in 2008. Every single peace deal that has been proposed by Israel or anyone else has been rejected by the Arabs for very simple.
Now, hold on. Zaid Yasser Sultan said, "Thank you, AP, so much for making me a better Muslim." Now, first off, nobody believes you. But secondly, if your faith depends on me, an apostate, then like there is really a problem with your faith. I mean, you should probably review your beliefs.
This entire live stream has increased my iman. I was a Muslim before this live stream started, and I'm still a Muslim. They notice they don't refute anything. They just think that if they say this, it's like, oh, this is something I can say. I can say words in response to something. Well,
before the stream, I was a Christian, but when I saw you, I converted to Islam, and throughout the stream, I became an even stronger Muslim.
Why are you stuttering?
Yeah.
reason, which was the very first question I asked you, you do not accept that there should be a Jewish state anywhere in this region. So as long as that's the case, there's literally nothing to argue about. You cannot simultaneously maintain the position there should not be a Jewish state anywhere in the region and then tell me that I'm wrong when I say that the Arabs will not accept a two-state solution. You yourself say that they're
brilliant. End of discussion. Brilliant.
It's good debater. Good debater.
Checkmate.
Check and mate.
This is it.
But it's crazy because you had a couple people who are just like, hey, you know, I'm a theology student. I wanted to ask you about something. But the people who are actually like aggressively coming at him are all their real position is Israel needs to be wiped off the map. Now, why aren't you having this two-state solution?
Yeah.
Isn't that, it's insane, right?
Yeah. I think Ben Shapiro is being very, very generous here because the Arabs didn't just reject the 1947 partition plan. What they did was, as soon as it was announced, as soon as the partition was announced, they started rebelling violently, and that kicked off the civil war of 1947 to 1949. In that civil war, the Zionists, in response to the aggressions, then became aggressive as well, and started moving populations and taking more than was actually given to them. And then they declared their state of Israel. And then the Arabs made their aggression official and involved the surrounding Arab countries and declared war on Israel with the intent of removing it all, getting rid of all of it. All of it. And they're still crying about that because they couldn't do it.
there should not be a two-state solution.
Yeah, he just burned him up. He's saying, hey, you're arguing this, and you agree there shouldn't be a two-state solution.
I'll firstly address the last point that you made about the Palestine and whether there should be a Jewish state. The point you are making there is you're suggesting that the Arabs will not accept a Jewish state. Well, the reason that the Arabs would not accept the Jewish state is multifaceted.
It's complex.
Yeah, Mohammed. Oh, it's complex, really? I thought it was a super easy thing. And you're like, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's complex, meaning
it's
we just don't want it.
It's multifaceted.
It is yeah.
It is a metaphysical matter.
There are layers to it. Like, remember with Ali Dawa and the tiramisu, there are layers to it.
Nostimar said Arafat said the treaty with Israel would be like the Hudaybiyah treaty.
Yeah, exactly. That would be a good show, going back to the Hudaybiyah treaty and stuff like that, and how it's all temporary at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's all just a plot. Arafat wasn't a very peaceful guy behind the scenes when he wasn't speaking to the world.
The Zionist movement arrived as a settler colonial project, and it is described as that. You can read the books of Jablonski. You can read Zionist literature from the early 20th century. It states that it was a colonial project. Now let's address the lies that you mentioned. Let's address the refutation that you made. In 1937, the Peel Commission, if you read the diaries of David Ben-Gurion, he explicitly...
It's so funny. It is actually officially described at one point as the colonialization project, where Zionists, where Jews from different parts of Europe slowly settle and come over and settle in the land. And this is not a secret. I mean, it starts at the very beginning in Theodor Herzl's, in his essay called "The Jewish State." He says that the whole idea, the whole concept of a Jewish state in Palestine or Argentina, he says in his paper, would be that we would go there, settle there, and find peace and build our own home where we would no longer have to fear persecution. Yes, there is the reality of people moving there for a very good reason, but there is nothing wrong with that. Many of the Arabs were also arrived there very, very recently. At that same time, the population increased significantly in the 19th century in the region, and the population growth among Arabs was also very extreme. Much of it consisted of settlers, and again, as said, it was part of the British Mandate of Palestine. The people who were living there had only part of the land. Most of it was public land. They didn't have any say over who will rule over this land. That was in the hands of the Ottoman Empire, and later in the hands of the British. And by the way, lots of the Zionists who arrived, they bought the private land.
And
they bought the private land from the Arabs, right?
Isn't this nuts? But like you see this, people can be making points and it makes sense in their head. But if you actually look at what they're saying, their hatred of Jews just becomes clear. On what planet are Jews the only people where if you go and buy a piece of land, you're an occupier? How are they the only people in the world? No Muslim would say if a Muslim goes and buys a plot of land in some empire or something like that, then they've become occupiers. Or if you got enough Muslims in an area, and that area is conquered by another power, and that power says, "Wow, there's a lot of Muslims in that area. Let's just give Muslims control of that area that we've conquered." That this would somehow be occupied land. They wouldn't say that about anyone else on the planet except Jews.
Yeah.
It's
you know what's messed up? You know what's messed up?
Oh, and by the way, just a little side note. Muhammad moves to Mecca. Muhammad moves from Mecca to Medina. Muhammad moves from Mecca to Medina. Slowly takes over. Not slowly. Rapidly takes over the entire place and expels / massacres Jews. That's not occupation. That's not. That sounds like actual occupation to me. You go in there, you start expelling and slaughtering people and taking over their stuff. That sounds like occupation.
No, that's the justice of Allah. I want to tell you something very messed up. Everyone knows I grew up in a very religious Muslim household that was also very extremely anti-Semitic, very, very Jew-hating. And
you had the Islam and the German, so that's like the magic combo of anti-Semitism right there.
What are you talking about? The Germany I grew up in, it was like the nicest
Deutschland, über alles.
It's like people hated the idea of anti-Semitism. But so in my Turkish Muslim household,
it's cyclical. It's cyclical. They're coming back around.
Yeah. It was my parents were. So I learned at a very young age that we are religiously supposed to support the Palestinian cause, and we are supposed to support the Palestinians. They are our brothers, and this is we are doing this for Allah and so on. But I was also told at a young age already from by my parents that the Palestinians are not entirely free from blame, because the Palestinian population back then, they sold their homes and their land to the Jews, and because they lost their faith, because they lost their minds, when it should be clear that as Muslims, you should not sell your lands, especially the Holy Land, to the Jews, because the Jews, you can't trust the Jews, and you can't allow them to take over the Holy Land. They're filthy and they're liars and this and that. This is the stuff that I learned, and it's funny. It is disgusting and funny that is the idea. They sold the land. The Zionists who came there rightfully owned the land which they bought, but now that is all considered invalid because it was not supposed to happen.
Because Muhammad flew his flying donkey monster into the Temple Mount.
Yeah.
So it's theirs forever.
You can't have Jews there.
Nope.
States that the partition was a temporary move to ensure the conquest of the full land. In 1948, there had already been an intercommunal civil war in Palestine, which had seen Jewish defense forces versus the Arab forces.
And who started that? Why did that start?
Already a conflict that preceded 1948. To claim that the Arabs simply rejected the UN party.
Yes, and why did that start? Everybody knows this. Why did that start? Why did the Civil War of 1947 start?
Because the Jews.
Why did it start?
Because the Jews won't give everything to Muslims.
Why did it start?
I already said the Jews.
Why did it start?
What? Are you deaf? Are you deaf? Why are you stuttering? The Jews. I didn't stutter when I said the Jews.
Why did it start, David? You still haven't told
You're not
me
listening. You
why
see,
did
you
it
see,
start?
this is not a it's not a good faith discussion.
Why did it start? Why did it start?
By the way, notice this dude that Ben is talking to here. He is exactly the sort of person who would just completely massacre. I don't mean physically. I mean, if he's in a discussion, because he knows enough details to actually name a bunch of details, and the average person would not know any of these details, he could overwhelm the person and make it sound like he really knows what he's talking about. Problem is he's standing in front of Ben Shapiro, so not going to fly well. Although I have to wonder, why did they give the opposition the higher little podium there?
Yeah, Ben Shapiro.
Partition plan is once again ahistorical. You then make
They literally rejected it. How could it be ahistorical if they literally rejected it?
if there was a war beforehand,
And
if there was a war
once again, you
beforehand,
just
then
reject fundamentally
The partition plan was actually 1947. So
the existence of the state of Israel, period.
When
So
I
how can
attempted to interrupt you, I was told to silence. So I would ask you again, please shut
Look at
up.
that. This guy interrupted Ben like 20 times when Ben was talking, and then he keeps saying, "Shut up! You don't interrupt me." Notice
he was making noises as soon as Ben Shapiro started talking. He
Yeah.
started making noises, and now he's like,
and I said you got to notice how like people's real views come out, right? Like, so one, it's he's applying a standard that he would apply to no one else in the world. It wouldn't even apply this to like Christians and so on, or to Hindus or anything. They only apply this strict reasoning to Jews. That, hey, if you buy a piece of property, you're an occupier or something like. They only apply that. This is so insane. They only apply it to one group. But just this idea here, I can interrupt you as much as I want, and you have to shut up while I talk. It's just a complete contempt for the person who's just 5 feet in front of it.
yeah. So what happened? Just for context here, this guy keeps saying there was already a civil war, there was already violence before 1948. This guy either doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's just trying to be deceptive here. But it looks like he's very ignorant too. But 1947 is when actually the UN made the recommendation for the partition of Palestine. So that's when it officially came out, and the Jewish side was happy about it, and they said, "Yay! Okay, finally, let's do this." And the Arab side said, "No, we are not doing this." And they organized a strike, which then quickly turned violent. And that kicked off the civil war. So, yeah, it was actually the Arab side rejecting the peaceful final partition plan and starting a civil war. But hey, it's always the Jews' fault, of course.
You see, AP admits it.
I would like to continue.
They all cheer when he says, "Hey, shut up."
And you then mention the what was the peace plan you mentioned after?
Okay, which one should we do? Should we do the?
Well, we finished 1948. What after?
Okay, so there was the 2000 peace plan from Ehud Barak.
Okay.
There was the 2008 peace plan from Ehud
One at
Olmert.
a
There's the
time.
pullout of Israel from Gaza Strip in 2005, handing it over to Hamas.
Let's get the next person up now.
All right.
Thank
you very much.
Yo, I said a bunch of words, so I win.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool. Is he actually responding here?
Sheo said, are either of you familiar with John Kelsey's book, Arguing a Just War in Islam? Is something we're reading in a global religious ethic course I'm taking. I was wondering what your thoughts are on him. Are you familiar, David?
Not familiar with that. Is he arguing that there should be just war theory in Islam, or is he arguing that there's just war theory in Islam?
I'd never heard of John Kelsey, Florida State University, Department of Religion. Nope, never heard of it. Don't know. Can't say anything about it. Don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, just war theory comes from certain Christian philosophers back in the day who tried to they had to reconcile the idea of the text saying that states have authority to do things like protect their citizens and punish unbelief, punish people who are committing various crimes and so on, and of course fighting wars when necessary and so on, with ideas like, oh, you're supposed to love your enemies and things like that. And so how do you reconcile those? Because war can be pretty brutal. So they came up with just war theory, and so it's like, how do we reconcile these two things that we're supposed to be loving our enemies while we're fighting them and so on. So they came up with criteria like war should be last resort, and after it's done, you should be trying to seek the welfare of the people and not just destroy them and so on. But I don't know what that has to do with Islam.
Sid Dave said, for Muslims, peaceful coexistence means religious minorities living as dhimmis and second-class citizens where they have to accept their supremacy. This is very Islamophobic.
Yeah, that's why it just makes no sense for some of these people who are actually arguing that all the land is occupied and then saying, oh, but we want equal rights. We want a place where Christians, Muslims, and Jews have equal rights. That's not an Islamic goal. That could be a goal of particular Muslims. You could have particular Muslims who say, hey, I would like everyone to have equal rights and so on. That's not a group. That's not what a group like Hamas wants. And it's not what Islam calls for. So even if you did have that, even if you said, hey, here's a bunch of Muslims over here who just want everyone to have equal rights, let's go with that. The call to subjugate everyone else, it just over and over again emerges in Islam, and you see it emerge everywhere once the population reaches a certain critical mass.
You're just being Islamophobic.
No, you're stuttering.
Harold Ball said, Inshallah, AP, did you ever talk with Destiny? Also, you should debate Vaush on Israel-Palestine or Islam in general. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for this. I did talk with Destiny. I talk with him occasionally. I message with him sometimes. I went on his channel a few times to just have discussions with people. Vaush, I've never interacted with, but I feel like, I don't know. I don't really... It sounds like a very challenging conversation to have, because I don't think that he's a very approachable guy, to say it very nicely. And so Dave said, West should use the right of return to send Hamas supporters in the West back to their original homelands, but then they will deny right of return.
No, it's Hamas supporters.
Hamas.
I don't like Hamas. I do like Hamas.
Sankei said these brainlets would clap for Mishkat al-Masabi 315.
You're going to go look that up, aren't you?
I bet it's going to be...
Is it going to be the eyes or the leather strap of the anus? Because that... What? Yep. Nailed it.
The Prophet said the eyes are the leather strap of the anus, and when the eye sleeps, the leather strap is loosened.
It's messed up in my debate. In my debate with Isa, I brought up the eyes of the leather strap of the anus, but I specifically pointed out, hey, if anyone wants to know what that means, you can ask me in the Q&A. But no one asked me in the Q&A. What's up with that? Like that, if I heard that, the first thing I would want to know is what the heck does that mean?
Yeah, the eyes are the leather strap of the anus.
When the eye sleeps, the strap is loosened, so you can't control what comes out of your butt when you're sleeping.
And these words were spoken by the wise Muhammad,
especially after Muhammad has been hanging out with Dihya al-Kalbi. Oops, I mean the angel Gabriel. Then he can't control what comes out of his.
And finally, Sid Day said it's violence against native Europeans by Islamic immigrants not considered settler violence. This whole Israel-Gaza thing is a religious war, not land. This is very Islamophobic.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Stop stuttering, Sid Dave.
Why stuttering?
Yeah.
No two-state solution when literally you will not accept the possibility of a two-state solution. That is the end of the story. There is no further discussion.
That's seriously ex-president on the
front. I mean, by the way, it is absolutely insane, right? All these guys these people who are arguing with them do not want a two-state solution. They want a one-state solution dominated by Islam and Jews out of there, which is exactly what would happen if a group like Hamas or anything in the ballpark of Hamas actually takes over. And they act like they're arguing for a two-state solution, and that is absolutely not what they want or would ever accept.
Is it really too much of us to ask to just remove all the Zionists?
And what Ben Shapiro is saying, that is absolutely correct. Look, stop this nonsense about two-state solution if you don't actually believe in that. You're arguing for something you do not even believe in. Stop it. It's end of the discussion. If your position is Israel needs to be wiped off the map, stop acting like we need to, like this, we're just looking for peace here, because you're not. You are not looking for peace at all. That is not your goal. Stop pretending it's your goal, you liar.
Liar! You're a liar!
Uh-oh.
Who did
Is this Dylan Mulvaney?
I think so.
Without the costume?
Thank you, Ben. I'm not going to ask any questions about Israel-Palestine, but I wanted to ask something about...
Loser, get off.
About what you touched on in your opening remarks. You said that the reason you...
Is this Nick Fuentes?
Feel called to speak out, one of the reasons you feel called to speak out about what's going on in Gaza at the moment is that you think that it is a question about the West standing up for its values and asserting its identity and knowing what it is. I put to you that
this is too highbrow. We came for the pro-Palestine audience. They're
And,
supposed to be stupid.
and furthermore, I have a 17-point question about...
Yeah. This is too much intelligence. This is too highbrow. We came for the stupid pro-Palestine stuff here. What is this? I don't understand this.
Perhaps the reason that that is so controversial, you saw 100,000 people marching in London on Saturday before that, etc., is that the West, or many countries in the West, no longer have a sort of common sense of what they are as nation states and therefore what they should stand for. Do you think that's true?
Yes.
What do you think the consequences of that are?
I mean, I think the consequence of that is dissolution of the West. I mean, if the West is not going to be muscular in defense of whatever it believes its core values to be, then of course it's going to be overtaken by alternative sets of values.
Is it correct? The West.
No. How can you say this? This is very, you're being very judgmental, and this is very dangerous speech. You are not supposed to point out the obvious consequences of these dangerous movements and currents and trends. You cannot do this. Be more sensitive, please.
Consequences!
It just adopts a new value code.
Yes. I mean, if the West is to mean anything other than a location, it's going to have to mean a set of values. And those values traditionally in Britain have meant things like classical liberalism. They've meant things like freedom of religious worship. These are all aspects of the now Anglo-American.
Freedom of religious worship is against Islam. This is Islamophobic. You can't have that.
System.
I can't believe I have to explain this.
That have been adopted across the pond as well. And when those values fall away, what you end up with is a morally relativistic state that cannot stand up for its own values and has no reason to continue.
So do you think that collapse of a communal moral code is now inevitable?
Not at all. I don't. In fact, I think that there is going to be quite a backlash to the insane self-blinding that has taken place by the West. This belief that everybody is at root thinking the same sorts of thing and engaging in the same sort of incentive structure. I do not think that is the case. I don't think the West...
Do you know what? I feel like I think there's going to be a kind of a rude awakening, and there's going to be a rise in right-wing politics in response to, or an overcorrection in response to all the terrible stuff that we have been seeing, especially over the last month. Islamists just freely roaming and declaring this Islamic land and stuff like that. But then again, so much of the young people, especially the left-leaning people, make excuses for anything, make excuses for Hamas raping people and massacring people. I feel like even when the Islamists are there and they storm the government buildings and they say, this is it, we are going to install our Islamic State here now, lots of leftists would still say, guys, please don't exaggerate this. Please don't look past this. Please look past this. Please don't perceive this as a big hostility. Guys, don't be prejudiced. Don't be prejudiced. This is not all that Islam is about. There are also peaceful Muslims here. And just because these guys want to turn this into an Islamic state, that doesn't mean that lots of the bad things will happen. And even if those authorities then come and execute these guys for being gay, for example, while they are being executed, they might still say, guys, yes, I am being executed but right now, but this is not because of Islam. It's just because, some people just take things out of context, and there are still peaceful Muslims, and Islam is very much misunderstood, and so on. So I still think that there's a hopeless situation going on here, and I don't know what the future will be like. But David is not even listening. He's not even paying attention here.
No, I mean, it's this could go either way. You have I want to put lots of the people who are running around just spouting moronic nonsense, or like so. For instance, LGBTQ saying, "Oh, we support, hey, we're against Islamophobia and this and that," and like the things that people are arguing over. Lots of the stuff you can only do that because you have a certain kind of population, right? You have a certain kind of population that allows you to be having really silly disputes all the time and be saying really silly things all the time because you don't have to constantly worry about the things that other people in the world and most of people down through human history had to worry about. And so you have a certain kind of population that allows you to be, arguing about this, and allows you to be a college student saying absolutely idiotic and insane things all day long, and you're not being shot for it. And you can just do this. You can prop up a certain kind of people who have the freedom to do these kinds of things. But these are the people who are kind of destroying the foundations that allow them to do that. So they're ultimately self-destructing everything. And they're favoring positions that would deliberately destroy everything that's holding them up. So they're destroying themselves. And so the question is there going to be a backlash like Ben Shapiro just said? In other words, are people going to realize, wait, we're being insane. We're supporting jihad. We're this seriously? Like, are you actually going to get to where people say, okay, this has gone way too far. We need to get back to basics, and this is like insane? Or does everything just fall apart? Because notice the alternative is, we've talked about it lots of times before, that everyone's joining different groups, and these groups are hostile towards each other and want to destroy each other. And there's a human tendency, when you feel like you're being attacked, to run out and join some group that is going to protect you from whatever you think you're being attacked for. But the result is that everyone's going to be joining up in a different group that are all attacking each other. And then you don't have any common ground, and the whole thing just collapses. So is there going to be a backlash, and people say, hey, we've gone too far with this, division and fighting over all this nonsense. Let's get back to some unity. Or is it just going to fall apart? And I'm kind of 50-50 on what's going to happen. Yeah. Ben thinks it's going to be the backlash and so on, and things might be fixed.
Sid Dave said Istanbul was Constantinople. No, it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. No, that's not what he said. He said
it's occupied Constantinople. Occupied Hagia Sophia, occupied Constantinople.
He said Constantinople was extra land that became Istanbul. Pakistan built on Indian land, so land grab is okay when done for Islamic purposes, but not the other way around. Look at the hypocrisy.
I'm going to tweet right now. Istanbul is occupied Constantinople.
Free Istanbul, free Constantinople, free Constantinople.
Doing it right now.
I'm going to tweet that too. I'm going to tweet now. Free Constantinople. Free Constantinople. Okay.
I always believe that. This does not say the West is perfect, that the West hasn't made enormous and horrifying mistakes. The West certainly has, but the West value system is certainly better than the other value systems that have been made available to the planet over the course of the last couple of centuries.
I'm sure you'd agree with me in that the foundation of a lot of the moral code of the West is sort of Judeo-Christian. Do you think that mass secularization post the Second World War, at least in the United Kingdom, it's been much more delayed in the United States?
Yes, I mean, I think that the religious Judeo-Christian values that have been brought into the secular world by a diverse society, and then sort of secularized in terms of the way they've been embedded in our laws. Yes, I mean, I think a lot of
this is boring. I want people yelling about Palestine and saying occupiers should not exist.
Enlightenment values that originally had their roots in Judeo-Christian culture, I think those are beginning to wear away. I think that we're suffering from what one author called the cut flowers.
Unicorn said, off topic, but an elderly Jewish man was murdered at a Palestine rally in Westlake Village, California. No national news reporting on it. I actually saw a report earlier on Twitter on something like that. I wanted to look further into it, but that was just when we were going live. Is that what really happened? Is that what the news is at the moment?
Don't know.
Let's see. LAPD just confirmed that a 65-year-old Jewish man named Paul Kessler has died after he was carrying an Israel flag at a pro-Palestine rally in Los Angeles when he was struck in the head by a Palestinian activist with a megaphone. Struck in the head with a megaphone. Here is Kessler and his alleged assailant. Are you kidding me?
Pretty rough.
This guy?
Oh, look, Muslim women helping. That's cool.
He died? He is still conscious, but then he's reported as dying.
Well,
dead.
You got. Wait, who's this guy's name? I would like some additional confirmation of this.
No, I saw reports earlier from many different sources. Oh yeah, okay. Now I see news articles. The Forward, Ynet News. No big sources yet. Pro-Palestinian protester suspected of killing Jewish man in LA died as a result of brain injury he suffered after a verbal altercation he had with a pro-Palestinian protester.
It's on in the last hour. It's been on KTLA 5. That's on YouTube, and Fox 11 in Los Angeles. If you wanted to check any of that out, but if you look, elderly Jewish man dies after incident at pro-Palestinian rally. That's on that's a short news clip.
Yeah.
KTLA. Jewish man 65 dies while counter-protesting at pro-Palestinian rally. Okay, wow. So that's recent. Wow. Wow. What if they caught the dude?
This is what they're doing now. In
just so you know, this makes me want to go to like every. I just got the urge to go to every Palestinian rally with a Jewish flag.
This is Los Angeles. This is California.
Yeah.
This is where Jews established a big presence and built things. This is where Jews are supposed to feel at home and safe. And some pro-Palestine protester or pro-terrorism protester comes here and hits an old man. An old man.
Yeah, it's not some young, strong dude. It's some 65-year-old dude.
You absolute coward. Hit an old man and kill him.
Busted him in the head with a megaphone.
This is why you can't have peace. This is why this is not an isolated case. This is why these people cannot have peace. Because this is the mindset that rules the whole Palestine idea, that is out there protesting for Palestine, which is a fake thing which should not exist. It should not exist. It's over. The project is done. I don't know why Israel even revived the idea of giving these people a chance for self-governance. It's obviously a failure. It obviously doesn't work. They obviously can't make peace. They obviously justify attacking, beating, lynching, killing random people over this, still saying all of it is occupied. All Israel is an occupation of our own land. It all belongs to us. They justify the raping and the kidnapping and all kinds of different things. This is the mindset. This is the terrorism that is Palestinian, the terrorism that is pro-Palestine. This is the entire spirit of pro-Palestine, of Palestine, is terrorism. It should not exist. Until this day, until October 7th, I seriously thought there could be a chance for a two-state solution, and there could be some peace possible or something like that. I mean, after October 7th, I just right now I firmly believe it is not possible to have a two-state solution ever. There should be only one state, and that should be Israel. All of it should be Israel. All of it should be Israel. Israel deserves it by now. There should be no such thing as a Palestinian state. It should all be Israel. And the others should just be okay living there and having their rights. Lots of Arabs, 20%. 20% of Israel's population is Arab. 20% of Israel's population is Arab. 0% of Gaza population is Jewish. There are no Jews living in the West Bank peacefully. 20% of the supposedly genocidal Israel's population is Arab, and they are growing. They are not being executed. They're not being annihilated. They are living there. They have full rights. They have equal rights. They are in politics. They They become teachers, police officers. They have their schools. They have all their goddamn rights, which the Israelis also have. 20% are Arabs. That's where they should live. That's what they should have. That's where they should be living. There should be no such thing as Palestine. It is a failure. It is bound to cause nothing but chaos. Fuck Palestine.
Well, I have to point out that you're ignoring one possible path to peace, and that is if these pro-Palestine activists with megaphones get Jewish pen pals. You don't even think about that. Why are you stuttering? You can't even...
God, this is just...
Just get a pen pal, eh?
Yeah. Man, this is just... I can't believe... This is just insane, man. We are tolerating all this insanity and these just young Western people going and saying free Palestine. Yeah. Dumb idiots.
Here's what's crazy. If you're at a pro-Palestine rally in California, you are taking advantage of the freedom that you have in the U.S. to protest, to march, to rally, and so on. You're taking advantage of your First Amendment rights and saying, "Hey, I get to go out and advocate this cause." When you then bust someone over the head who has a different cause, it's like, what are you actually saying? No, only my position should be accepted in society, and everyone else should be met with violence.
Yeah,
it's like, well, you don't actually believe in the rights then, and that's not your goal.
Yeah, that's why there is no peace. This is why there is no peace, because Israel is the light in the situation. Israel is the side that builds, that brings prosperity, that brings innovation, that brings peace. The other side is the one that destroys, that brings darkness, that brings backwardness, and adds nothing to the world. Look at any. I mean, earlier I checked the global innovation index. Israel is among the top 15 most innovative nations in the world. So many years ago, it was in the top 5 in current innovations.
Yeah, they
to human progress. What in the world do Palestinians do?
Yeah, they've actually come up with such great water purification methods and stuff that they now export water to other countries in the Middle East, because they're the ones. There's always water shortages and stuff like that, but they actually take the Mediterranean water, but they also are the best recycler of water in the world. And they just come up with solutions to problems. So if you have a population in a pretty arid land, like how are you gonna come up with just basics like enough water stuff? They keep coming up with solutions, and then they'll use those solutions to help other places in the Middle East and so on. And I don't think it would be like that if Hamas were in charge.
Yeah. Mossab Hassan Yusuf says it. He says that if Israel left today, the Palestinians would not make peace. We would just start fighting each other over who is going to be in charge, who's going to rule.
Totally correct.
And we would just end up having a civil war and eliminate each other. That's what he says, and he knows it better than you and I do.
Big bloodbath.
Exodus Quidditus says, Surah of the Pen Pal, write those who do not believe in Allah.
Write those who do not believe in Allah. I like that. We're going to steal that one.
That's nice. David the Goliath said, after 1,000 years, we can finally declare that Jews won the Crusades backed by Christians and the Muslims lost. Muslims can't digest that.
Yep.
HJ80 said, still waiting for Shake Your Booty and Shake... that doesn't work.
I'm not shake my boob. I am Imam al-Sofat. Imam Sofat. That's who I am. I haven't worked out exactly how those sketches would go, but yes, we're going to have some showdowns.
That's offensive, man. At least when I say shake your booty, I say shake your booty. You know, like it's a happy call to shake your booty. If you want to listen to Shaky Booty, then Shaky Booty. Cedric says, AP, please, can you check the tracking for UK anti-Semitism incidents over recent years? I recall you said it's increasing worldwide too. I recently checked one thing, I can tell you that, which is 2021 hate crimes by religion of the targeted victims. Muslims are currently number 1 in targeted victims, but if you break it down per capita, Jews are number 2. If you break it down per capita, Jews are 7 to 8 times more likely to become victims of a hate crime than Muslims, because of the Jews are a very tiny population compared to the Muslims, but the number of victims in hate crimes, the number of Jews among hate crime victims is almost more than 50% of the Muslims. So yeah, Jews are about 7 times more likely to fall victims to hate crimes. But yeah, let's talk about Islamophobia. Why not? America too, by the way. Knows Too Much said, before 1948, Muslims ethnically cleansed and massacred Jews, not peaceful. Example, 1929, Jews were ethnically cleansed from Gaza and massacred in Hebron. Five Silver Pesos said, here's for the... Thank you so much. For the Coca-Cola Fund, also AP, what is your opinion on people saying they are actually they're culturally Muslims but religious liberal? Stardust made this claim on her live stream. I know Stardust made this on her live. Stardust, are you still here? Stardust, if you're still here, do you now officially identify as an ex-Muslim, or are you still saying that you are a Muslim but don't really believe? Please clarify. Thank you first off for the very nice contribution. I will get some Coca-Cola with this. But
did you say Coca-Cola?
Coca-Cola. But culturally Muslim but religious liberal. I mean, it's if people want to identify with it, I guess so. If you want to look at it, lots of Muslims, especially in Europe, are culturally Muslim and don't really do much about it. You know?
Yeah, and it's clear to keep in mind, lots of times when we're talking about Islam, we're talking about what the ideology calls for and so on. And you could have individuals could be all over the place, but the issue here is the people. Lots of the people who are stepping forward, free Palestine and so on. They're calling for the eradication of Israel. And so you have people who are culturally Muslim and religiously liberal and all kinds of positions and so on. Kind of irrelevant to the situation here, and keep in mind if that's how you really are, then when the jihadis if the jihadis ever get their way, you're either going to fall into line with them or you're going to be on the receiving end of a blade too. So
let's call it jihad. Let's not say jihad because it sounds too Middle Eastern and too xenophobic and Islamophobic. It sounds too foreign. Let's call it jihad. So it sounds more English and nice. Knows Too Much said, any territory controlled by Palestinian Nazis has to be Judenrein. Israel has almost 20% Muslims with full rights, but somehow Israel is the apartheid. Yep, that's what I just said. But you said this way before I said it. So,
so you copied this person.
I copied it. Yeah.
Syndrome that if the idea is the Judeo-Christian values have to undergird a system of Western liberalism where there has to be a common agreement in terms of the things that we hold dear and the kind of good that we hold as the highest good in order for there to be room to stick and move within that good and toleration of minorities and the marginalized within that same framework. It has to be an agreed upon framework. When you cut that off from its fundamental religious roots.
Don't talk about cutting off heads. This is too violent. This is violent speech. Let's get to somebody who wants to get rid of Israel.
So it's on the member to the right. Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
Yes. Who is this? Hi, my name's Skippy.
Thank you very much for being here.
I'm your cousin, Ben.
I want to ask you a question about the American political climate. So
boring.
Nobody cares about American political climate.
These are people who are just like, hey, I can ask Ben Shapiro any random question.
Yeah, and who cares about the American
Look at this doofus. Hey, man, I just want to know, have you ever surfed? What is this dude, man?
I also watched you from 2015, but then I grew up. So I wanted to ask. So you're one of the more common.
I grew up and became a lefty. I mean, I'm not going to say anything.
Because then I went to school and they told me what to think, and then I grew up by listening to everything they told me to think.
I never worked, by the way, so I don't really know.
I never
how it is
worked.
to
I
handle
don't need
money.
to.
Yeah.
I don't need to. I'm a loser.
Republicans out there because you're not a complete Trump fanatic.
Like, I'm not even conservative, but this is just such a childish way to put things.
Yeah, what a dope.
Right. I think you support Ron DeSantis. Is that right?
In the current primaries, yeah, I'd vote for DeSantis in a primary.
Very good. So I was thinking, why do you not? Let's say Trump wins. Why do you not come out and support Biden? Because what are you?
This is so stupid, man.
Everyone has their own political views, but Trump seems to me to be a fundamentally serious threat to American democracy, which Biden simply isn't.
Okay, shut up, man.
Who isn't a threat to American democracy right now?
These guys. Imagine we're talking about genocide, about
what about Trump?
Yeah, but can't you see that Trump is the real problem? Shut up, man.
Yeah, these guys aren't nearly as fun as some of the others.
Like, grow up.
Let's go to the member in the front here.
Yeah, people are dying. People want to kill Jews, but hey, what about Trump? Trump is the real problem here. Forget about that.
Hi, Ben. So good to have you. I wanted to go back to the current conflict, and I was wondering, given that obviously there's one side which does have, a respect for human rights, as you pointed out, they try to go about their response. Israel tries to go about their response in in the best way possible. At least I would argue. And you've got another side that has a fundamentally different alignment of values that does not have regard for the civilian lives. And in purely practical terms, that makes it quite difficult to wage war in a civilized way, as far as you can say that.
Wow, someone with common sense.
A potential, I don't want to call it path to
I think he's AI though. I think he's a robot. You hear that?
This is CGI.
Yeah.
Victory, but a path to defeating Hamas.
Ben, I want to argue something about Israel, and I would say that you also agree with this and the other. So.
But reconciling that with our
Why are you mocking the guy, man? He's trying to say
values and killing as few civilians as we can. And I understand
this guy not have socks.
Benjamin Netanyahu and so on. So could you draw a possible sort of realistic path to victory that might reconcile?
So I'm not privy to the sort of military planning of the Israeli administration. I'm not in their security councils. What I will say is that any position that Israel takes that does not end with Hamas off the board is going to be extraordinarily dangerous for the future of the state of Israel. So that is the end.
That's it. They're supposed to eliminate Hamas entirely, kill every Hamas member, eliminate Hamas completely, remove them from existence. That's what the solution is.
Yeah, and I've pointed out repeatedly that there are legitimate criticisms, like, is this the best idea, being, raining down these bombs, knowing that the world is watching, and knowing that you're enraging some people who were sympathetic to you on October 7th, and now they're like, oh, you're going too far. What do you do here? Their theory is go after Hamas relentlessly. Do not give them a chance to regroup. Just keep going at them until they're destroyed. Yeah. And so I don't know. That is one way of doing things. And so I get it. I get the reasoning. I'm not sure I would do it the same way and so on, but you could get the point. Like that is a legitimate theory. If you have a group and they're hiding and so on, and they just launch this attack, you just have to go at them with everything until you've destroyed them.
Yeah. This is the thing. Like people don't understand the realities of the real world, right? They don't get it. Lots of people, especially in the West, they are so out of touch with what it means to struggle. To have actual geopolitical problems. They're so out of touch with the threat to your life. So out of touch with conflicts that are very common in the Middle East. They don't understand how war actually works in real life. They don't understand any of these things. They think it's you go on TikTok and you make a video and say, oh, free Palestine, guys, and then you get a few likes and followers, and that's cool. And then this is the new thing. It's in fashion, so that's what you do. In real life, things like these have very dire consequences. If there is one side that is out to massacre you, and that said for decades, we want to exterminate the Jews, then If they then commit an attack and kill 1,400 people, the worst attack ever, and then on top of that say, you know what, we will do this again and again and again until Israel is eradicated, then the response to that will be a very harsh one. And the response to that will definitely not be a ceasefire or, try to come together and find a peaceful solution. No reasonable country, no reasonable nation that cares about its own population would say, oh, you know what, we don't want to kill anybody anymore. Let's just agree to a ceasefire for now, or let's just find a solution now. No. If a state cares about its own population, they will be hell-bent now on eradicating, on completely destroying and finishing that force which came for the population. And that's what Israel should be going for. Israel should be going for the complete annihilation of Hamas, the take over Gaza, put a collaborative government in place of it, and run things from there. Maybe that's one of the solutions. But there is no way that any state that cares about its own population would actually, even consider a ceasefire or consider a peaceful solution with these absolute monsters. They should all be killed.
Yeah, and once Israel announces, I tend to take them seriously once they are clear on their goals.
I just want to clarify, when I say they should all be killed, I'm speaking of Hamas.
Oh, you're talking about all Muslims. Once Israel announces, hey guys, Hamas just launched this terrorist attack. We are not putting up with Hamas anymore. We are here to destroy Hamas, and we are not stopping. We are not stopping until we have eradicated Hamas and until we have our hostages back. If you understand, and if they tell you, hey, we do not care if you protest, we do not care if you whine, we do not care what you do on college campuses and so on, we don't care. This is our objective. We are not stopping until we reach that objective. Then, if your concern is Palestinian civilians, women and children, then you should be like, okay, then Israel needs to reach its goal and eradicate Hamas. And anyone who actually is concerned about Palestinian civilians and so on should be helping to get rid of Hamas and help those hostages get returned, because that's the only thing that's going to stop them.
Yeah, if you actually care about the lives of those Palestinians, by the way, it would be in the best interest of them as well to take out a group like Hamas, who use the Palestinian population as shield, as cannon fodder, as whatever they want. They don't care about the lives. Psycho said they're so smug with their low-level arguments that get refuted in minutes. Clearly never interacted with the other side, just TikTok University. I know, right? Some guy said, what do you guys think when you see a Muslim walking down the street knowing what you know about Islam? I think, interesting guy.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we were just talking about. We know what Islam teaches, but an individual Muslim, that person could have a ton of different views.
I befriend Muslims. I have conversations with them. I'm nice to them. They are often nice to me in private, once we don't get into the geopolitical things. Humans are humans in the end. Beneath their religious beliefs and their geopolitical conflicts and whatever, and the ideologies and whatever it is, they're all humans, and you can still find that human commonality and still be good to each other. That's how it works in real life. Tristan Tate said, Tristan Jones said, why do Palestinians call themselves martyrs when they're killed? This was such an insult. I'm really sorry, Tristan Jones. Why do Palestinians call themselves martyrs when they're killed?
Tristan says, would you like to know how to seduce virgins? I can tell you. I can tell you how to seduce virgins. I got my course on seducing virgins.
Yeah. Jews killed by Palestinians don't use the same language. Is this a holy war to them? This is a very common thing among Muslim populations, where they refer to the dead among them as martyrs when they are killed in war by their opponent. Which is why they will refer to anyone who dies as a result of fighting with the IDF as a martyr.
Yeah, there's an obsession. There's an obsession in Islam with dying as a martyr because it is your only assurance of salvation, right? Muhammad said, I don't know what Allah is going to do with me. He's told to say that in the Quran. And if you look at the historical background, that is in the context of salvation. A Muslim named Uthman, not the Caliph Uthman, a different Uthman, but a Muslim named Uthman, who was one of the best Muslims around, died. A woman said, this is in Sahih al-Bukhari, a woman said, oh, Allah has blessed you with, the paradise and so on. And Muhammad says, what are you talking about? You don't know that. And she says, well, Muhammad, if he's not good enough to say that, then who is? And Muhammad said, I don't know what Allah is going to do with me, and I'm the messenger of Allah. So notice, even Muhammad doesn't know. Muhammad doesn't know. And yet the guarantee that you have is if you die as a martyr, then you've got a guarantee of paradise. And so there's an obsession with martyrdom and with being declared a martyr. And that's where you're going to see it always, because that's the encouragement, right? You want to be able to take some people and say, hey, you don't know what Allah is going to do with you, but if you go die while killing them, then you're a martyr. And therefore you instant one-way ticket to spending an eternity deflowering virgins.
Alhamdulillah. Cascadia said free pastels. Wonderful. I was thinking earlier free PlayStation when I was seeing free Palestine.
You should start saying that. You should start doing variations of that. Free PlayStation. Free.
Yeah.
Hey, and have like a PlayStation giveaway. And free PlayStation. We should actually buy a PlayStation. Say we're having a giveaway to like whoever has the.
I still have an old PlayStation 4 that I'm not using. I was thinking of giving it away, so maybe I should do a free PlayStation campaign.
Free PlayStation, yeah. Make a video.
Yeah. Luke Slivkov said, I'm actually playing the new Europa Universalis 4 DLC right now. LMAO AP may be a godless heathen, but he has great taste in games. Great work from both of you, by the way. I know, yeah, that's yeah. Hope you're enjoying it. I need to try it. I didn't get into it yet. Tori Scott says, if you do not know, the ex-Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson, wrote a novel called 72 Virgins, which satirized Islamic terrorism and martyrdom. I haven't heard.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
That sounds interesting.
I like people who make fun of stupid stuff.
I like people that make fun of anything. Saint Constantine the Great. Hey, nice to have you here.
We were just talking about free Constantinople.
Yeah, we were just talking with you and your city. David, do you think the resurrected with mental defects will also be healed? I believe Reed and Paley will have glorified and perfect bodies, but will psychopaths like you and I be healed to ICXC?
Yes, I do believe that.
There you have it. What does ICXC mean?
It's a secret.
Oh, okay.
It's a Christian thing. You wouldn't know.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't know.
We don't tell atheists this stuff. It's a secret code like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The real man. Do you also do like when somebody else does a different sign? You take that as a hostile front and you attack them. Okay.
Hey, you remember Ali G when he was talking to the guy, and he goes, he was talking to an expert in gangs, and he goes, "Yo, because I walked out and I saw this guy, and he was flashing these gang symbols real fast, like right." The guy, him was firing these gang symbols back real quick, like. So what's up? The guy's like, I think that's sign language.
Man, I need to watch some of that stuff again.
Yeah, we should go through
all that in a long time. Free Dresden said the real masquerade. It's free right now. Very, very free. Yeah.
Goal, everybody understands that to be the end goal. It's dangerous not only because Hamas has proved itself to be significantly more dangerous than everybody assessed Hamas to be, but also because that leads to a perception of Israeli military weakness and inability to protect its own citizens that leads other groups, including in the West Bank and also in the northern border by Hezbollah, to get involved. And that's incredibly, incredibly dangerous. So is there a best of all possible worlds? Yeah, the best of all possible worlds is for Hamas to surrender, as I think everybody of good heart should agree at this point. If you don't agree that Hamas should surrender, I doubt why. I have some serious questions about why. That again, very difficult for me to find any reason other than Jew hatred why you wouldn't want Hamas to, even for the sake of Palestinians, why you wouldn't want Hamas to go. That would be the most obvious bill. So is Hamas going to do that? Probably not. Which means that it's in everybody's interest, or should be in everybody's interest, to depose Hamas as quickly and easily as possible. They've made it incredibly difficult. Obviously, the tunnel system, they have some 300 miles of tunnel underneath the ground. They've stolen billions of dollars in order to pursue that. They've built up resources under there. it's going to be a slog. It's going to take a lot longer than people think it's going to take. And it's going to cost, by the end of this, it's going to cost a lot of Israeli soldiers' lives, because they're going to have to attempt to go into serious urban terrain and wage the.
Yes. Everything he just said. I found it.
Ooh, that's not for you, man. This is how Christians send a little message to each other.
Oh, okay.
These are how you, because keeping, you got times of persecution and so on. You had to let people know. So you make a mark on the ground, and I make another mark on the ground that makes Jesus fish, and then we know we're on the same page, and we don't tell atheists this stuff.
No, I exposed you. See, I exposed your secret. All right.
This war. So I wish I saw a good way out. I don't see a good way out. I think people, there are a lot of happy solutions that we tend to think about in the West, but very few of them tend to materialize in war.
I suppose such are the realities of war. And I just wanted to say on a personal note, as a citizen of the Czech Republic, I think we stand very firmly with Israel.
I appreciate that.
Doing so,
that's cool.
I hope everything is resolved as quickly as possible, and through your personal connection as well. I wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
And notice that is like the reasonable question. Hey, Ben, what do you actually see as a possible path forward and so on? And him pointing out, hey, as long as you've got Hamas there, it's going to be, that group has to be out of the way. And just imagine once the Allies start winning World War II and the writing is on the wall and it becomes clear, guys, we are not stopping until we take out the Nazis. We are not under any circumstances stopping until we have crushed the Nazis. If you actually want peace and you want this over as quickly as possible, you should be helping to eradicate the Nazis. That's what your goal should be. And same with Hamas. Nazis. I'm here. I want my Nazis. Remember that movie?
Yes.
I want each man under my command owes me 100 Nazi scalps.
And I want my scalps. That is Inglourious Basterds. Unfortunately, if I play it, then playing movie scenes is very, very dangerous on YouTube.
Very dangerous.
They will immediately attack this live stream and try to take it down or monetize it. So, yeah, this is Inglourious Basterds. Fantastic movie. I watched it several times. Go watch it.
Let's go to the election of standing committee.
And by the way, what just got pointed out, hey Ben, what do you think is a path forward? What is an actual path towards peace? That's the same question that should be asked towards the pro-Palestinian people. What do you actually think would lead to an acceptable outcome here? But that's the point Ben is making. Your guys' idea of an acceptable outcome is Israel wiped off the map. And so why are we having this discussion right now? I reject that. I reject that. That is not a path to peace for me. Wiping out Jews to establish peace is not going to work here.
Yeah. Hey, I know I don't want to play movie scenes, but this is I actually have this on my soundboard.
What's wrong with you, man?
Look at this.
Didn't he win an Oscar for this?
Yeah, I have this on my soundboard. This laughter because of this scene, for this scene.
Glauben oder nicht?
Wait. He crushed it, man. He played that part like crazy, man.
I lost it when I first watched this.
Hello. So you have expressed pro-life sentiments before. How can you? So when
I don't care. I don't care, mate.
You've expressed pro-life, so you're against abortion. So how can you reconcile this with bombing people? I'm guessing that's where he's going.
They go, and people from low-income backgrounds are the ones who have to do unsafe abortions at home, who have to go into it.
Oh, he's just asking about abortion.
Okay, boring. This is it. This is the end. Okay, we're done.
This it? Okay, so we only had a couple of.
This is the end.
Isn't that weird? Ben Shapiro shows up, and he is enemy number one for lots of people, and they're asking him about, hey, what about Trump and what about abortion? And
this is so funny. The top comment here is Britain wasn't bombing.
Oxford student 2023.
This is good. This is gold. This is gold. Way to go.
His response was awesome and quick, though. By the way,
Yeah.
Go ask the people in Dresden. Oh, you can't. They're dead.
Yeah. Well. That's it. We're done with this.
Powerful.
Now let's go to super chats quickly.
Powerful.
Before the world comes to an end. Helios56 said, "What if you did a video about an evil Jewish person killing Muslims, but at the end it was a gotcha about Muhammad?" You see?
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but yeah, it's actually that would be a parallel to the skit me and Nabil did way back in the day, where I dressed up as I was like a Christian pastor, and I'm in church, and I start calling for violence, but all I did was quote Quran verses, but instead of saying Jews or Christians or unbelievers, I said Muslims instead. And everyone's like, that's so evil, that's so intolerant, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, but I'm not really a Christian, I'm a Muslim. And it switched to Nabil. And he said the exact same thing. And then the crowd saying, other cultures are very interesting. And yeah, so it might be interesting having some sort of a skit where a Jewish person is saying things about Muslims, and then everyone would object, but then you find out actually all we did was change a word in the Muslim sources from Jews to Muslims, and suddenly you recognize how evil it is. Like if someone said Muslims are the worst of creatures, everyone would go, oh, that's so evil, that's so intolerant, that's so bigoted, that's so Islamophobic. And well, it says Jews and Christians. The Quran says Jews and Christians are the worst of creatures. If someone said fight those who believe in Allah, people would say that's intolerant, that's Islamophobic, that's bigoted. But when you say fight those who do not believe in Allah, oh, it's, who are you to judge other person's cultures and so on. Yeah, so that might be good to put a skit together.
Somebody said the question was not about abortion. What are you talking about? I'm just going through this right now, and it's all about abortion. Like I'm looking through the captions here. Said before, women, abortions, illegal country, low income background, backstreet, giving birth in alleys. This is all about abortion.
Well, maybe he goes through that entire thing and then he says, and so the real question is, how can you deny that the eyes are the leather strap of the anus? And so it's really about that.
That makes sense. Oh, wait. There's something about a Jewish something here again. Oh, maybe the last. She's asking something now. Oh, wait, let's see.
But throughout this interview.
Okay, wait. I want to hear this. Let's see.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask two final questions.
What does she get to ask two? What is this?
Is this didn't come up yet in the interview, but you've been quite vocal in your criticisms of the Black Lives Matter movement, stating that all lives matter. But throughout this interview, you have not equally defended Palestinian lives, the civilian Palestinian lives, in the way that you have Israeli civilian lives. So when it comes to Israel-Palestine, do all lives not matter then?
So first off, it's a wild mischaracterization because
where do these people go to school?
Position that I've obviously expressed to you. You literally asked me, do I value Palestinian lives the same way I value Jewish lives? And I said, yes, I don't believe that the act of evil in targeting a Jewish child is the same as a military attempting to target a terrorist who's hiding behind a baby. So don't mistake the position, please. When it comes to the all lives matter position, of course I believe that all lives matter. My fundamental disagreement with Black Lives Matter is I don't agree with their premise. Their premise is that Black people in the United States are being uniquely targeted by law enforcement for murder. And I don't think that the statistics prove that. I don't think the evidence is there for that. So I don't agree with the fundamental premise of the Black Lives Matter movement. Not that I don't believe that Black lives don't matter. Of course Black lives matter. They matter exactly.
You see, he said Black Lives Matter. He's supporting Black Lives Matter.
You see?
Who come here. If you could leave our members with one thing to think about, what would it be?
I mean, I think that tonight, the thing that I would leave with is the same thing that I came in with, which is that there are certain values that are worth protecting. There are certain values that are worth protecting. And one of those values...
Why stuttering?
...is the value of understanding. The value of understanding clear moral differentiation, which obviously has been completely obscured And I think tonight we've seen some evidence of people obscuring some clear moral differentiation between the targeted burning of babies in their homes in front of their mothers by shoving them in an oven and people attempting to kill terrorists who are themselves putting civilians in harm's way in violation of the rules of war and the Geneva Conventions. And if you're one of the people who's making this sort of moral equivalence, I ask for you to check your own heart. And if you're one of the people who's watching people make this moral equivalence and being convinced by the supposed complexity of the issue, I ask for you to check your brain.
Whoa! Hey, you know what would have been even better if he had said it right there, and he said, "And for any of you who's siding with Hamas right now, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself." That would have been like ultimate mic drop. The Thug Life glasses come up on his face right there.
Yeah,
Thug Life glasses with the yarmulke. Thug Life yarmulke.
Thank you.
Check your brain, he said.
Check your brain and check yourself before you wreck yourself.
We're proud of that.
All right.
How awesome would it be to have Ali G with Ben Shapiro and Mohammed Hijab? Or even better, Ali G with Ben Shapiro and Ali Dawa. That would be, that would break the internet and completely destroy it forever.
That would be fantastic, man. That would be absolutely fantastic. We already read these. Doc Brandon said these people don't realize they could easily beat Shapiro by yelling, "You see, why are you stuttering?" I know, right?
He should do that. Everyone needs to do that now. Anytime someone is asking a question, "Why are you stuttering?" Or anytime someone just doesn't speak for like 2 seconds, say, "Why are you stuttering?"
So Dave said, "I support Palestine, but next to Pyongyang, which is North Korea's capital." Yes, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Carver Linda Clark made a super chat. Thank you so much. I haven't seen you here in a long time. Huh. Notice that maybe Israel gets them to talk by saying they would take away their 9-year-olds, or maybe they staple their eyes together so they can't control the leather strap. Man, this is getting out of hand. My TV said, have you seen Mahdi Hassan's MSNBC clip G-word genocide, where he brings up Hadith verse on the last hour? They don't show it was said by Mo. Really?
No, I'd be interested in that. That's discussion worthy if he actually brings it up and doesn't show where it comes from.
Mahdi Hassan, G-word, genocide. Mahdi Hassan examines accusations of genocide against Israel and Hamas. That's interesting. I should look into that. Jonathan Samuel said, is Mahdi the Christian Antichrist? I'm seeing a lot of videos of people praying for his return. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there are people. People always ask us end times questions. I don't study it tremendously, but there are people who say that the Islamic Mahdi is going to be the Antichrist in Christianity.
Islamic Mahdi.
Yeah, there's the G word. It is a 13-minute clip. So yeah, I will be checking that out later.
D word. Yeah, maybe we could review that. We want to go live this week intensively. So
yeah, we should go live every night. We got a lot of catching up to do on all this stuff.
Yeah.
Why stuttering?
Why you stuttering? I want to see what he says now, because it's going to be like, and it's been pointed out that some person at some point in history has said, the end will not come until you fight the Jews. I don't know how he would bring that up without saying it's from
and he also said the eyes are the leather strap of the anus. Yeah. Mr. Kranz said, finish. He also spoke incredible journey and testimony. Next is Palestinian delusion. Looks like half of Gaza will be kaput for Hamas soon. Yeah. Very happy to know that you read the book or listened to it, whatever you did. You can listen to it or read it. Both of it is good. I did both of them. Son of Hamas by Mossab Hassan Youssef. Very, very good book and very touching. At the end of it, especially the final words of the book, made me very deeply emotional, which David wouldn't understand because he's a psychopath. Cool 8-Man Kill said, if David has Italian blood, has more right over land. Yes. Which land, though?
I don't have Italian blood.
You have Italian blood.
If I had Italian blood, I'd be going, hey, bibbidi bobbidi, bobbidi boobidi. I'd be doing that all day. Give me the pista. Bada boom, bada bing. You don't hear me doing that.
Yeah. Nehemiah Abraham Penneker said Samaritans always lived in Israel. Ashkenazi Jews are more genetically closer to Samaritans than the so-called native Palestinians. That's what it says. Yeah, it's a matter. It's a disputed matter.
Sounds like a messed up porn movie. The Palestinians. What's wrong with you?
That's what the comment says, not my fault. Fruit Pie Samurai D says, how do you engage with those who say everything you say is propaganda or either deflected? Is there any point if they are so deep in the Kool-Aid? Well, I would say all they're saying is propaganda.
Yeah, we're getting to a point where, everything seems like it is going to be propaganda for one side or the other. So gotta always try and go back to the evidence and cite sources as much as you can.
Yeah.
It is a metaphysical matter.
Sid Dave said they do call Hindus occupiers for not letting Kashmir become part of Pakistan. Land steal is okay if done for Islamic purposes.
Yeah, have you actually seen that? Because you got the fake Palestinian shrinking area and so on over time, but now people have done that with India, like India before, and it's like this huge area and stuff, and then all the parts start getting chopped off. And for some reason, Muslims don't have a problem with that. In fact, they want all India to be Islamic.
Yeah. Precisely. Yes, precisely. We was gonna find something quickly to have an accurate representation or a correction of that dumb, stupid map that these people always post and sell as a fact, as Israel stealing land, which is completely false. But yeah, whatever. I'm done with it. André Leblanc said thoughts on 666 is to do with the Bismillah. And John saw and recorded the vision as close as he could. Today's events are too biblical to ignore. My position would be that people have always said today's events are too biblical to ignore. But of course, that's just me. David is probably going to have a different view on it.
Yeah, I'll say I've had, even though, AP's a silly atheist and so on, so I'm actually from a Christian perspective. And yet I've thought something similar, like, hey, every generation was like, the end times are now, and these things going on are obviously the fulfillment of these end times prophecies and so on. So that's part of the reason I've never gotten into it. Another part of the reason is I'm just like, okay, there are other people who really study this stuff, and so let them deal with it and not me.
You see, David thinks like an atheist.
I have to say, the end times stuff, the end times prophecies sound a lot more interesting, over the past 10 years than they have. Because if you went back to like the 1990s and like, look at these end times prophecies and the whole war is going to be at war, the whole world's going to be at war, and it's all going to come down over Israel and this and that, and you'd be like, come on, that's not going to, when's that going to happen? That's got to be way, way, way off in the future. And here we are sitting here, and like the entire world is enraged over Jerusalem. And so I don't know. I believe in it. I'll probably get one or two people who really study this stuff to come on for a live stream and actually break down why they might think that these are like the actual end times, just to give everyone a perspective. As far as this particular argument that the 666 in the Bible is actually, similar to Allah or the Bismillah or something like that, I think that's a pretty weak position. Dan Wallace, who is one of the world's leading authorities on Greek New Testament manuscripts and so on, he actually addressed this at some point because people kept bringing it up, and he broke it down, and he said it just doesn't work. So anyway, you might want to look up Dan Wallace's response to that, because he knows way more about it than I do, obviously.
Yeah, you know why I don't believe in God? Because first of all, as a child,
because God doesn't want to do whatever I want, and He has to do whatever I want. So really, I'm God.
As a child, I researched all the religions and traveled the whole world and saw every single religion
in a period of 6 days.
In a period of actually 1 hour, and then
on a flying donkey.
Yes, and then I heard this song which says, "I believe I can fly," and I thought, "Wait a minute, this guy believes he can fly, but he can't fly." So people believe anything, and that's why. Then I thought, therefore I conclude with all conviction. So that's why I'm an atheist.
I hadn't thought about those brilliant points you just made.
CPT Gunny said, "David, can you give AP the 1-2 combo so he can see that God is real? Also, you still doing Mo's Boom Boom Room or what?"
Oh yeah. I think I'm gonna, because I had told what's his face, Jake. I had told Jake that if he doesn't pick one, then I'm going to release 2. As far as no one has informed me that he actually picked one, so I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to release 2. And I think the first one I'm going to release is Muhammad Meets David Wood, because that one is, well, they're all fun, but this one is fun. Or gosh, I do have Robert Spencer as Salman Rushdie. I don't know. I'm planning to release one this week, just so you know.
If you're going to do something about Salman Rushdie, just don't rush it.
And as far as AP, if someone is stubbornly in rebellion against the truth, I don't know what you do. If someone gets to the point where he says, "No matter what the evidence is, I refuse to believe until God obeys me in all things," then I don't know what to do.
Well, I know what the Quran says. It says, "Cut off their hands and feet, or expel them from the land, or crucify them." Yeah. Joshua Wooden said, "Issa was super nice, but I thought in Islam Allah punishes you if you don't say peace be upon him when talking about Muhammad. He said, I will say it only once. It gets old. That's allowed."
Well, he's a Sufi, and he doesn't accept all the same sources that a lot of other people would say, and they're not as literalistic with everything as lots of other Muslims would be. I mean, again, he was calling the Dawa guys Dawagandas. He was saying he likes Islamicize me because the bulk of it was kind of making fun of like Salafi Islam. I told him there during the debate, I pointed out that back when we were releasing it, we were hearing from lots of Shias who were saying, "Oh, this is so funny. We're watching this with our kids," because they understood it as lots of it was making fun of Sunni sources, and they actually liked it. So I don't know why that's like hilarious to me. I'd like to get Issa in a live stream for discussion about some things. Seems like a nice guy.
You know what I find hilarious? This hadith here. This hadith here.
Humiliated. May he stutter. May he stutter. In whose?
It says, "The messenger of Allah said, may he be humiliated, the man in whose presence I am mentioned, and he does not send salah upon me. May he be humiliated, the man who sees him, who sees the month of Ramadan come and go, and he is not forgiven. May he be humiliated, the man whose parents live to old age, and they do not cause him to be granted admittance to paradise." But yeah, what he says here first is, "May he be humiliated, he who, when I mentioned, does not say." So this was Muhammad here. Yeah. Man, terrible stuff. Anyway,
and what's crazy is, I mean, it's actually prayers of Allah be upon him.
Yeah.
It's prayers of Allah. It's prayers of Allah be upon him.
Be upon him. I actually wanted to show this one earlier, just very briefly, to bring some clarity to the issue here. The people often pose this and say, this was once the land of Palestine, but then Israel came along and stole the land bit by bit. And
you see what they did?
They
wanted it all so they could have their monster truck and tractor rally.
Yeah. But what is actually, this is actually complete nonsense. This one depicts the situation more accurately, where here it is the British mandate in 1946.
And that is correct.
And here the UN plan 1947 is to partition the land between a Jewish state and an Arab state.
So, to be clear, the UN said, let's divide it up like this. There are Jews who have legitimate concerns about being under the control of Muslim leaders, considering those Muslim leaders were in cahoots with Hitler in order to wipe out the Jewish population. Therefore, there needs to be some land here where the Jews actually are not under the control of Muslims. So we'll divide it up like this. Hey, does everyone accept? Some people said no.
Ain't that right? Yeah, and then the Arabs said no.
Yeah, they said no, we reject that, and we instead declare war, which they lost.
Yeah, and then they lost, and they were like, "Hey, wait a minute, we were just kidding. It
What?
was just a prank. Come on,
What?
let's
what
go
happened
back."
what happened to the two-state that we don't really want at all?
And Egypt took this part, and Jordan took this part. Egypt actually gave this part a little bit of autonomy and said, "Hey guys, here you can you manage this, but this is part of Egypt now." And Jordan was more radical and said, "You know what? We don't have any interest in establishing a separate state. This is just going to be part of Jordan." And later, in 1967, Israel, through again another provoked war, took the whole land and actually occupied all of it, and also the Golan Heights. And it was later Israel which came up with the idea of just releasing these parts and giving them some form of self-governance, which they then ruined by, especially Gaza, ruined by electing Hamas. So yeah, and just to keep in mind, before all of this, the Brits wanted to give the whole thing to the Jews. So they already made compromise and compromise and compromise, but nothing was ever enough. Nothing is enough. Sid Dave said, "My challenge to Palestinians: Palestine should be established when a Palestinian wins a Nobel Prize in science or medicine. Peace prize does not count." Well, you're asking for too much there, pal. Knows too much said, check Quran 17:104, 521, 1093, 28, 5-6, 7137. Check it.
Allah is a Zionist.
Allah is a Zionist. That's what it said. Demogorgon said, "Is that the real Harold Balder? Amen." Yes, it is. Definitely is. David Kazashi said, "I see Ben in Oxford. I don't see Ben versus Muhammad Hijab. You see, Ben is scared."
Why stuttering?
Yeah. Cool. Aidman Kill said, "David the Giant of 6'4" with an Israel flag. Sure. FAFO. We should really do that. We should really go to these gatherings with Israel flags.
I'll do it. You just make sure you get good footage if they clock me in the head.
Okay, I'll do that. Yo Simon said, "Thank you both for your incredible dedication and hard work getting the truth out. Blessings for all good to you both." Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. We do our best. At least David does. I don't really care. I'm just doing this because I get paid by Israel. Stefan the Pelted said, "If it were up to me, Israel needs to start combating Islam's teachings to the core, else they are harboring tons of potentially violent civilians." Actually, Israel tries to be careful not to mix Islam into the discussion.
Yeah, they don't want to make it look like it's a religious, like they've got a religious problem or a religious objection and so on. So it is difficult ground. But yes, you are entirely correct that any solution is going to be temporary until Muhammad is exposed as a false prophet and people don't take those commands seriously. As long as you have, I mean, you're talking about between a fifth and a quarter of the world's population who believes in a prophet who calls for the complete annihilation of Jews, you're going to keep having the problems until you deal with that.
Yeah, there was a speech by Mustafa Hassan Yusuf again, hosted by the Jerusalem Post. It's very funny because he wanted to speak about the impact of Islam, and he says before he starts talking about it, he says, "I know that I have been told here that I'm not supposed to talk about this, but but we can't just deny it that a lot of what motivates these terrorist organizations is Islam."
Is he sporting his aviators?
Yeah. Jeff Derbless said, "I don't know if y'all talked about this, but Douglas Murray obliterated the Islamic narrative on trigonometry yesterday. A lot of what you were saying. I should look into that. I should also invite him, by the way."
Yeah, Douglas Murray. That's I'm looking it up right now. Trigonometry.
Fantastic guy.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have all these like phenomenal communicators who are very knowledgeable and very commonsensical, and somehow, I mean, people just ignore their points and go into a rage.
Yeah. No, I've always admired Douglas Murray. He's a good communicator. He's a good good author, good writer.
Hey, maybe we should go through some of this. It came out a day ago. It's got 820,000, and it's titled "This is About Survival." Matter of fact, since we're planning on hitting it pretty hard going live this week, I'll probably watch this tonight. And if there's a good clip, because we can't go through an hour of that, but if there's a section of it that's particularly good, maybe we'll check that out tomorrow. Other than that, there are lots of other things we can go through tomorrow. We've been wanting for a while to go back through Christopher Hitchens and some of his stuff on the conflict. And then, there's a ton of stuff that we could. Oh, I also wanted to go through at some point Sheikh Yasser Qadi. Oh my goodness.
I thought you were going to say Sheikh Yabudi.
Yeah. Sheikh Yasser Qadi announcing that he now, and this was from a while back, but he pointed out that in the Quran, it's historically been understood. So you had those we've talked about them before, but you have all these passages in the Quran which sound like Allah has given the land to the Jews. And so you could say in that sense, Allah is a Zionist, but the Quran has these vague references to the Jews being punished twice. And this gets interpreted either as the Assyrians and the Babylonians, or the Babylonians and the Romans, or what is this referring to? The Quran just isn't clear, as it very, very usually isn't. And so what does this refer to? And then Yasser Qadi points out that, well, there are some of us who actually interpret this as, there's the old punishment, and then there's the coming punishment, that the second punishment is yet to come. And he makes it clear that apparently there's a new way of thinking on this after 1948, that the Quran is prophesying that Muslims are going to destroy Israel. So anyway, I find that very interesting, that this is one of the most popular sheikhs ever in the West, and just saying, hey, we're gonna wipe them out.
That's good. That sounds good. I like wiping out stuff. That's always good to look into. Did I ever show you this video here? Wait a minute. It's not even playing.
Or yes. Mr. Hitchens, you are likely the world's most charming, roguish, and enlightened atheist, and I love you for that. But as a Sufi Muslim, I'm very ruffled by the title of your book. Of all the titles that you likely had at your disposal, did you have to settle for the literal negation of Allahu Akbar?
Yes. I thought Well, it's a very good question, and I'm glad. I wanted to come back to it. Why?
Yeah, as I've said, I think that all religions are wrong in the same way, in that they privilege faith over reason, but they're not all equally bad in the same way all the time. I mean, if I'd been writing in the 1930s, I would certainly have said that the Roman Catholic Church was the most dangerous religion in the world because of its open alliance with fascism and anti-Semitism, which the damage from that our culture has never recovered from and never will. But at the moment, it's very clear to me that the most toxic form that religion takes is the Islamic form. The horrible idea of wanting to end up with Sharia, with a religion-governed state of religious law, and that the best means of getting there is jihad, holy war, and that Muslims have a special right to feel aggrieved enough to demand this, I think is absolute obscene wickedness, and I think their religion is nonsense. And in its entirety. The idea of God speaks to some illiterate merchant warlord in Arabia.
Hey, that sounds like what I say.
Yeah.
Perfectly, and it contains the answers to all human. Don't waste my time. It's bullshit.
But you're saying this.
It's just
wow.
I love how he just said it.
Well, I'm just wondering how, okay, you're talking to one of the greatest rhetoricians of all time, and you're just going to jump up there with this sort of softball. Hey, wow, why are you talking about God is not great?
Yeah.
and knowing that he's just going to obliterate that.
I love how he I love this attitude that he always put on and just says whatever he thinks without mincing his words. I don't know. He was special.
Yeah, that's kind of the positive aspect of, like, even Sam Harris. That's the most appealing characteristic of Sam Harris. Even if you think he's wrong about this and that, he's at least just blurting out what he really thinks and not trying to, I need to worry about who's around and what they're going to think and so on.
Yeah, fantastic. Ma TV said Matthew on NBC finally showed the anti-Jew hadith.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out tonight, and I'm going to check out this Douglas Murray on trigonometry.
Yeah, we have to go soon, but I have to quickly go through the super chats here. Colin Morgan said, AP, will you be my atheist pen pal? I will be. Maybe. I don't know.
How about no?
The Real Masker said, Puck Palestine. Yeah, Puck Palestine. Cedric said, Ben had no idea he was at Speaker's Corner at Oxford. Emma Dante said, notice that Hamas only wants a ceasefire now that they are losing to the IDF. Yes, but only temporarily. And then they will continue until they destroy all of Israel, of course, which will never happen. I hope they get obliterated. Ice Global said, please put welcome to Colombia, Unity Samiti. Oh, I saw that. Did you see that video? There was the same guys who made that one parody video about BBC reports. Those Jewish satirists.
Oh yeah,
they made another satire video about Western university students supporting Hamas. It's hilarious. You should see it.
That's funny.
it's very good.
That's funny.
Well, we can check that out maybe on the next stream or something. There's so much. We will probably go live every night this week. One night on my channel, one night on David's, and so on. So yeah,
that'd be fun.
Master Yoda said, I appreciate what you have to offer. Do you all still work with Sam Shamoon to certain degrees? Sanke said, AP defense, Satan and Dracula, but once Hamas dead.
And Hitler. And Hitler. We've seen it.
Wait, what was that about?
You were saying, but I believe that Hitler is really, he wasn't trying to do evil. He's just, he's trying to do what he thought was right. And therefore,
I remember that.
He's good and should be celebrated by all people.
Oh, Dracula said, okay, I get it. I remember. I was talking about Satan.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Vlad the Impaler. I think,
it's funny how people remember these little things. Some guy said, David, do you forgive Muhammad?
Ain't my job to, he's going to stand before the Almighty. Doesn't have to worry about me forgiving him.
Impact Loeb said thousands of Jews are standing with the protesters. There are hundreds of videos of Israeli troops shooting defenseless Palestinians. Funny how you never mentioned that. I'm no Islam fan, but this is silly. Thousands of Jews are standing with the protesters. First off, what exactly is that supposed to say? Nothing at all.
Yeah. So if you have Muslims who are standing with the Israelis, then what? That means that the Israelis are right and the Palestinians are wrong. What's that mean? You got to look. You can't look at, this person says this, or these people say. You have to actually look at their arguments and evidence and reasoning.
Yeah. It doesn't say anything to me, especially if I see when I see American Jews, American secular Jews say, I'm a Jewish and I stand with Palestine. I just think, hey, it doesn't matter that you're Jewish. You have your voice doesn't mean anything here. It doesn't mean more than David's voice or my voice. You're an American person. That's it. You don't have anything. You don't know what it is to live there. You can't speak in the name of those Jews who live there. Okay, just because you're Jewish. That's not really how it works. And Israeli troops shooting defenseless Palestinians. Come on. Deliberately going around and actually targeting people, civilians, defenselessly, like Hamas did, for example.
When something like that happens, when an Israeli soldier shoots a defenseless Palestinian, he gets arrested.
Yes, gets in trouble. And they have the authorization to respond to a threat when there are protests and protesters throw something or could have, weapons, could have something else, or pull a knife, because you are an authority. You are somebody who is responsible for the security of Israelis in Israel. Every day there are instances or threats of terrorists getting a knife And this is what Hamas leaders told them to do for years, getting a knife and just stabbing random Israelis. So the Israeli police and the defense forces are constantly on edge, constantly looking out and seeing if there's a threat around them, because so many attempted attacks happen, they have to take care of it all the time. If you then partake in protests and those protests get violent and you are in the middle of them, it is probably expected that things might get ugly.
And by the way, notice, I mean, do you have soldiers who are just scumbags?
Yeah.
Yeah. Notice it's the exact same thing. Like you have police in the U.S. Do you have police officers in the U.S. who are scumbags and who will kill someone if they get a chance? Yes. And sometimes they get caught. What happens? They get in trouble. You're in trouble over it because that's not what they're supposed to do.
I mean, you see Hamas on videos repeatedly over the years say, people of Jerusalem, buy yourselves knives. It doesn't cost much. Buy knives, kill a Jew, cut his throat. These are videos. They did it repeatedly. And Israel is aware of this and then informs their own soldiers and says, hey, Hamas just issued these instructions. Be on the watch. What do you think? How do you think does it feel to be a soldier there? Do you think you could be totally calm and just disregard, any perceived threat? Probably not. The next Zakir said, is it just me or does Ben look and sound like Dylan Mulvaney, also free Frankenstein? It's just you.
Yeah, he could, pass a little bit, but I have to say Nick Fuentes sounds way more like, looks and sounds way more like Dylan Mulvaney than Ben Shapiro does.
Random Ox said, Islamic migration to Europe is settler colonialism. All migration everywhere is colonialism. Every per human breathing is colonialism.
Yeah, following the reasoning that we've seen from even the people who are talking to Ben Shapiro, if a Muslim goes to Europe and buys a house, he's an occupier.
Yeah.
That's the reasoning.
Yeah. Egyptian atheist said Gorlami. That's from the Inglourious Bastards movie.
Gorlami.
Good scene. Yeah. Go watch it if you haven't.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno.
Seed of Iblis said free real estate. Yeah. Free Wi-Fi. Count Buga said, hey, AP, have you watched any of James Lindsay's breakdowns of DEI and identity politics? I haven't watched any of it. No. I haven't watched anything from James Lindsay. Great live stream. Thanks for all the exposure and support during this time. The neo-Marxist Maoist Democrats are destroying the West. It's serious. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is very American-centric, too. If you specifically talk about, Democrats, for example. You could say that in many European countries, the conservatives are not as conservative as conservatives in America are. And conservative governments were in charge of countries like Germany, for example, and were very much responsible for much of the, without checking, welcoming all the refugees, protecting Islam, and things like that. So yes, in America, you could make that distinction between the left and the right. In Europe, it's much more complex than that.
Yeah. Historically and theoretically, it's good to have two forces at work in society. It's good to have a conservative force and it's good to have a progressive force. You want a conservative force to preserve what is right and what is working well. And you want a progressive force to kind of deal with problems and to actually make things better. So keep in mind, I'm not talking about conservatives and progressives here. I'm talking about a kind of conservative force and a progressive force. You want to conserve what works and you want to fix what doesn't work, and so on. And ideally, these things kind of work together in making a better society. You're not losing what is good, and you're making things better. It becomes a problem when the two groups become polarized and then hate each other, and they're no longer working towards anything remotely resembling a good common future. And once both sides decide that the other side is evil, this side decides that this side is Nazis, and that side they're commies and stuff like this, and then the tendency is to go further and further apart. Until it's just completely split, and they no longer have anything in common. and then
Hey.
everything is falling apart.
The president of Israel was on Piers Morgan today. That's funny. Isaac Herzog was
That's
on
what I mean.
Piers
All
Morgan.
this, no, all this stuff's going on. We need to catch up.
Yes. Sandman said people from University of California be like, you see. This is getting everywhere.
I bet. I mean, you know, they go with like UCLA and UC Davis and stuff
Yeah,
like this, but I
yeah.
wonder if there's just a UC, because I went to Fordham University. You could buy shirts that just said FU on them. But UC, if a shirt that just says UC on it would be hilarious. I would sport that and just go around UC.
Cascadia said, "Have you watched the comedy skit Welcome to Columbia Anti-Semitic?" I did. I watched it. It was hilarious.
That is one of three things I'm apparently watching tonight after we're done.
You're supposed to watch it. Watch it. It's
I got the Mehdi Hassan G word, the trigonometry with what's his name? That dude, Murray, and that one. That skit.
Dude, how can you just call him
Douglas Murray? For those of you who need to know.
Douglas Murray. Another said, AP, you should do a gaming stream when the new Crusader Kings 3 DLC comes out, because it has to deal with Islam. You can talk about context of the stuff in the game and play Crusader Kings while doing so. Win-win. Not gonna lie, I just want to see how good you are. LOL.
Oh, I should do that. We'll be co-Crusaders.
Hey, this is actually not a bad idea. Sometimes I think I should start doing like I should create a second channel and do like streams where I just play a game and talk. And this is not so bad of an idea, because lots of these games that I play, they have to do with a lot with Islam stuff too, you know, because history games.
I might not be able to talk in something like that because I become too focused on destroying my enemy in the game.
Yeah, probably. Suddenly said Mark drop with facts and logic. Yeah, that was about half an hour ago. Who knows what we were talking? Oh yeah, that was Ben Shapiro probably saying, "Check your brain,
check yourself before you wreck yourself, people."
Yeah, because Saint Constantine the Great said the atheist knows, but
why is everyone telling him this is not supposed to be? Atheists aren't supposed to know this stuff. It ruins it. It ruins everything if everyone knows about this stuff.
ICXC is a Christogram, first and last letters of Jesus Christ in Koine Greek. Oh, okay. Nice. I always knew about the thing. I just never really knew about this detail. This is very interesting. I should look into this more. This looks very.
This is all made up. Do not believe anything you're seeing.
Lucid said Allah is a doofus. You can't say this. This is very Islamophobic.
This is bigoted right here.
Very, very bigoted. Allah is not a doofus. Allah is an idiot. He's a liar. He's a deceiver.
He's the best of deceivers, though. So praise him.
He's the best of idiots. Ivan Garcia said, "Hope you're doing well, AP and Dude. Back in 2019, when I attended CSUSB, my Muslim professor made a list of internet Islamophobes, which included you too." What, really? Are you serious?
That's pretty cool. That's cool. That's bad. I mean, you were still fairly new back in 2019.
Yeah. I think my channel was blowing up then, though. It was getting very, very.
That's pretty cool that you made it. You made it to the top 5 Islamophobes list all the way back then. That's a record. That's a record. Took me a while.
This is nice. That's cool. One day I want to become the #1 Islamophobe. Ali G said,
"Hey, no, you remember? Wasn't it Fareed who said that I'm the world's leading Islamophobe? He said that in a tweet a long time ago. I gotta go find that tweet.
Maybe
I think he said, "Oh yeah, it was." He was talking about he was blasting Mufti Abu Layth and saying, "Oh, you said something positive about the world's leading Islamophobe." And it was about me.
I remember Mohammed Hijab, when he was talking to me, said that called me one of the greatest Islam, I don't know, something of our time. And I always think, hey, that's very nice of you.
We're gonna have to make a live stream one day. Who's the real king of Islamophobia? And we'll make a case for various people, and then people can vote.
Yeah. He was so nice. Mohammed Hijab is very nice to be like. He said one of the great anti-Islamic polemics of our time. It's like very, very kind of him to say. Very kind of him. Thank you, Mohammed Hijab.
That should be like in your Twitter like description or something like that. One of the great Islam whatever of all time, Mohammed Hijab.
Well, you know what I did? I did this a while ago. My channel description, it says one of the great anti-Islamic polemics of our time, Mohammed Hijab.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I don't think
Same idea.
anyone can end Apostate Prophet, not a liar, Fareed. Sajid Lipim leads people away from Islam, literally shaitan. Pathetic Murtad, Yasser Qadi.
Did he say that in a video or what?
Which one?
The Yasser Qadi.
He said that in the same video where he called you all kinds of.
Oh, I need to get that so I can use him for our descriptions.
Yeah.
Important, Daniel.
Yeah.
Pikachu.
Daniel Pikachu, important. Enemy of Islam. Al-Dawa. Yeah.
It's enemy of Islam, yeah. Yo, him be the enemy. Him says that I shouldn't be marrying off my 9-year-old daughter. Him be my enemy, yeah.
Because you know what
they say. You know what they say. If there's fluff on the muff, then she is old enough.
Jeez. No.
If there's grass on the field, let's play.
Sajid Lipim literally made a video about me where he called me like literally shaitan. It's so funny. First super chat, by the way, I'm the real Ali G, the Persian Canadian Christian. Hey, nice to see you, Ali G. Good. Nice. Thank you for the super chat, Ali G. Sam Scholar said, from the sea to the sea, Constantinople will be free. Hey, that's good. That works, actually. That works. CPD Gunny said, AP, you think you can suplex David or no? I don't even know what suplex means.
It's a wrestling move, but no, you can't unless you do some serious deadlifting in your free time.
You're finished already. Look at me. You know you're done.
Bar Soap said, hey, AP, I want to convince my pro-Palestine friend about Hamas atrocities. Can you compile the source report you use or tell me how to get them? Well, number one, simply search for Hamas graphic on YouTube, and you will immediately get a recommendation of a video posted by Israeli news sources and also the IDF, which directly shows Hamas terrorists going around and killing civilians. It's age restricted, might not immediately appear. There's actually a website, and I'm going to tell you the website now, if I can remember it. It's 10seventh.com. There's a website named 10seventh.com. And I just want to say, I want to issue a warning. Very graphic, very messed up content. But for those who really want to see what Hamas did that day, there is a website. The website is 10seventh.com. It issues a warning right here in front of it. It says content warning, violence, insensitive content. Are you older than 21?
Dang, not even 18. They're going all the way to 21.
And you say yes, and then it opens up to you.
Because no one's going to lie.
It opens up to you so many videos that you have not seen anywhere on social media or on the news, which show you all kinds of things Hamas did. I don't even want to describe them, but yeah, you can find it right there. My wife, Mrs. Apostate, said 10seventh.com. She put it right here. Yeah, this is the website. If you really want to look at it, you can see it right there and show it to those who deny it. Bar Soap, I already read it. Stefano said, Tommy Robinson is back on Twitter. Great guy, some crazy ideas, but a great British patriot and been fighting Islam for a long time. Maybe have him on. I'm actually in touch with him because of a different issue. I might have some updates on that soon.
It is interesting seeing him back on Twitter after being banned so long. That is cool.
I was banned so long.
I mean, by the way, just think about it. Some of these guys who 15 years ago were warning everyone, and they're just called horrible racists and bigots and Islamophobes, and like every single thing they said, because I'm kind of in that camp too, but every single thing that they said, hey, this is what's going to happen if you keep going down this road. And I was like, told you so, told you so, told you so, told you so.
Yeah. Told you so. I don't know why nobody ever talked about the dangers of all of this. MR415, which sounds like a gun, said, David, have you ever heard atheists claim that Hitler was a Christian? Typically,
No, I've never heard that one.
genocide,
I've
like
never heard that
Stalin,
one
Mao,
700,000 times a
Hitler
day.
was Christian? Question mark. Have you ever heard of that, David? I bet you've never heard of that before, right?
Yeah, I've heard that like 100 trillion times. So you do have serious issues like people who were siding with Hitler during that time. But yeah, Hitler. If you go through Hitler's table talk, he despised Christianity and thought it was making his people weak, and that it was, he was wishing for a different religion, which he believed if you had a different religion, a different ideology, combined with the superiority of the German people, they could dominate the world. And he thought Christianity is actually making his people weak and holding them back, and so on. With atheism, yeah, communism is not the same thing as atheism in the West. There is a common concern because there's nothing within communism that says, hey, you need to go kill all religious people or something like that. But it's viewed as, the view is Christians are standing in the way of this, the progress towards this economic goal and so on. But notice there, the view is, religious people are an obstacle and have to be wiped out. So other people could have that same view, that you don't have to be a communist to say, okay, this group has to be wiped out and so on.
Alhamdulillah.
But yeah, you're talking about different kinds of groups.
Hitler was a maniac. To him, he probably didn't believe in anything at all, but he had two faces. One of them was the public face, where he tried to appeal to the population, and in many of his public speeches he did appeal to Christianity and Christian values and to God, and he would say stuff like and it is God alone who blessed me with the chance of leading of leading this country.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing a politician would do today. A politician, if you're in a dominant Christian area or something like that, guess what? If you really believe in Christianity, you'll want to appeal to the audience. If you don't believe in Christianity, you're still gonna put on a show for people, and so you have to look a little deeper to know what people actually believe.
And if you want to actually go to the source, into what Albert Speer, who wrote extensively about the talks, as others also confirmed, said, Hitler said something like this: the Mohammedan religion too would have been much more compatible to us than Christianity. Why did it have to be Christianity with its meekness and flabbiness? So he was complaining that the Germans have Christianity, which makes them weak and not bloodthirsty enough. And the Japanese religion or the Islamic religion would make them bloodthirsty and warlike. And he wanted Islam. He liked Islam more than Christianity. So that tells you something.
Someone said, then again, the pork and beer would have been a problem. So the Germans still liked their pork and beer. So what are you gonna do with Islam there?
That's true. That's true. Some guy said, honest question, where do Muslims think Jews originate from? Do they think they popped out of the earth one day? They did pop out of the earth one day. What are you talking about? Allah Snackbar said, I used to be a Christian until I heard the the eyes are the letter strap of the anus. Alhamdulillah. Or perhaps I spent too much time at Momo's bathhouse. Thank you.
You and Diha Al-Kalbi.
I
mean, the angel Gabriel.
She was 9 years old, said free the 9-year-olds. Everyone needs to know. Sid Dave said AP and Dad.
Hey, we should come up with some line from such and such to such and such. 9-year-olds will be free.
Yeah. Free 9.
From Daniel Hakikachu and Ali Dawa. And
Sid Dave
Mohammed Hijab and all of them.
Said AP and DW should be on PBD podcast.
Yeah, you were invited, and then they rescinded that invitation.
They actually re-invited me.
They did?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, you should do it.
Yeah, I haven't responded yet, but they did. They did re-invite me. They said they're just trying to set up a panel now. So
nice.
It's funny. She was 9 years old. She was 9 years old. Made the secret thing that I cannot pronounce and cannot know of. It's a secret. I don't know what that was about. Sid Dave says Salman Rushdie is the greatest apostate of all time.
No, AP is.
No, I am. Fort Sauce said
exclamation point, exclamation point.
How about Dawood? Yes. Yeah. I don't know what it says. Something with Dawood. I can't read it right now.
Dawood.
Also, this is very small. I don't know. Another said, I need a CK3 stream of AP and David playing CK3 channel during it. He probably be doing his nerd voice. I would love to see him and you make new character, and you can have your house models having to deal with the leather strap. And that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
I will introduce
it sucks
that
because
into
I don't
games.
know how to play new games. I mean, the Atari 2600 back in the 80s had that. Then the Nintendo, and then I stopped at Nintendo because then I did things like getting locked up and so on. And I'm talking the original Nintendo, and so you know, Super Mario Brothers, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, things like that. And then I learned how to play a little bit of Call of Duty Zombies mode. I'm pretty good at that, and Halo Wars. But those are the only game. Anything else I would probably suck at.
You say it's been our misfortune to have the wrong religion. Why didn't we have the religion of the Japanese, who regard sacrifice for the fatherland as the highest good? The Mohammedan religion, too, would have been much more compatible to us than Christianity. Why did it have to be Christianity with its meekness and flabbiness? I still have that Hitler quote open here. I just had to quickly read it.
Das war ein Befehl!
Greg Smith said being gay in Gaza is much safer these days, seeing as there are less buildings to throw them off.
Fair point.
Oh, this is too morbid.
Israel should say Israel should say that where they want to throw gays off these buildings, so we're destroying their buildings.
Unicorn said they had a huge screening of October 7th footage at Al Shifa Hospital a couple nights ago, cheering. I don't want to say what I have on my mind right now.
Yeah,
Hobocop
that's normally the thing that sets you into a rage.
Yeah. Hobocop said, serious idea, reenacting the things that Muhammad did. There's so much hilarious and disturbing potential. David Wood's greatest weapon, Sahih al-Bukhari.
Yeah, I do want to. I've been planning this for years, but I do want to just straight up reenact certain hadith. Don't need to make fun of it at all. Just reenact what the hadith says. Like get some people in costume and reenact exactly what the hadith says and show how absolutely ridiculous this is.
True. So Dave said, AP and David Wood, do you think we should honor the pagans who fought against Mo and his gang? They saw through Mo and fought till the end. I mean, I would say they were not special. They were just regular people who were, a pagan population that dealt with an existential.
Had a little bit of common sense, but the best thing we can do now is free Mecca, because that was taken from the pagans.
Oh, I should
free Mecca, and we got to free the Kaaba. You got to free the Kaaba. You got to free the occupied Kaaba and free occupied Mecca.
I'm going to tweet free Mecca now.
And give it back to the pagans.
Free Mecca. Hashtag free Mecca. I'll just tweet free Mecca.
Or we could just start pulling Muhammad moves and stuff, saying, I had a dream. God wants me to have Mecca. And that's enough. You just say it.
Yeah.
That's what Muhammad did. That's how he rolled.
Just don't imitate too many of Muhammad's dreams, or you might end up with something really, really bad. And we'll have to report you to the police. So Dave said Adolf H. got his inspiration from the Armenian genocide by Turks and Mongol conquests of Genghis Khan. He praised them both.
Yeah, it was thought by lots of Europeans you couldn't actually pull off something like, you can't actually pull off a genocide in the modern world because everyone would expose you. And Hitler's knowledge of the Armenian genocide, where you start rounding people up into trains and sending them off to be executed. Nope, you can get away with it.
Yeah. David, would you ever dare to debate Ali Dawa?
On what planet is Ali Dawa ever going to debate? They actually, do it in a heartbeat. But yeah, he eventually, I've never heard of him actually debating anyone that isn't just like a speaker's corner type of, discussion or something like that. I've never heard him do a formal, I don't know if he has or not. I've never seen him do an actual formal debate. I don't think he would ever. But he actually had it set up to debate AP, and all he did was embarrass himself.
Ooh, look, I got the grape. Nom, nom, nom. Yeah, come here. Smiles to Jenna, feed me more grapes like we does all the time, imitating Muhammad and Deha Al-Kalbi. The eye be the leather strap at the anus, yo.
Oh my God, I'm going to lose it. Daniel Kikachu tweeted just a few minutes ago or earlier. Somebody sent it to, John sent it to me.
Oh yeah, he sent it to me too. What is this?
Daniel Kikachu tweeted, remember, the only people condemning October 7 are bloodthirsty Zionists. A Muslim who condemns October 7 is a hypocrite and a traitor to Islam. A non-Muslim who condemns October 7 does not believe Palestinians have a right to live and defend themselves against Israeli ethnic cleansing. Daniel Kikuchu, I hope somebody does to you and your family also what peaceful people like to do to peaceful people.
I'm glad you reined in your thoughts on that.
No, I would never say anything bad. Like I just think that people should have peace and should be friendly to each other.
It's just what's crazy. Like in these situations, like the worst thing that you could wish upon Daniel Hakikachu's family is for them to continue to be under the control of Daniel Hakikachu. It's like the absolute worst thing, right?
No, I want Daniel Hakikachu to change and to be introduced to a more peaceful way of thinking, which is why I would like peaceful people to introduce a better way to interact with each other to Daniel Kikuchu and his family, so that he can in the future also join us in condemning terrorist attacks and violent acts and all of that. Of course, I would never wish anything harmful upon him. Yeah. Yeah, Sid Dave said a Moore movie would destroy Islam. Imagine a 54-year-old man with a 9-year-old girl in love. Okay, no. I'm stopping. I'm going to stop it right there. And somebody else made a super chat. Thank you so much. And this is what? I can barely read anything here. This looks so small on my screen. I don't know. Tanaf, I don't know. Okay, yeah, interesting. Thank you. Appreciate that. And with that said, I want to say goodbye. Cruel world. Anything else you want to add, David?
What? Yo, hey, what's up, everyone? We're live.
Yeah. Free PlayStation.
Free Constantinople, free Mecca, free PlayStation.
And
free Wi-Fi.
Free Willy. And yeah. That's it. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be live again tomorrow on David's channel. For now,
it'll be dope.
For now, it'll be dope. Free David Wood and free cookies, said Winnie the Pooh. As always, have a fantastic day.
Why stuttering?
And stay away from Islam.